What's up, guys? Welcome to the Kinda Funny Gamescast. I'm Tim Gettys. This is the new face of video games.
It's me.
Blessing, Adeoye Jr. We got the former informer, Imran Khan.
Howdy.
And rounding out the table for the very first time on Kinda Funny content.
No, I've been here before.
You were here one time with Jared, right?
With Jared, we did like a
the
whole
wiki
section
guide
on
thing.
game guides. It's really fun. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
IGN's
The old
own
face of video games.
Samuel Claiborn.
Thank you.
How you doing, man?
Thank you. Oh, I'm doing so good. We have an exciting week of coverage at IGN because a bunch of people are out of the office, and so I'm doing all their jobs. So I'm here not doing any of those jobs.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. What are you doing currently at IGN now?
I'm the managing editor, so I make sure everybody has the tools they need to do their job every day. So it's just making sure stuff gets done when it's supposed to get done. And I work with the editors-in-chief on all those fun, bossy projects.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
But this is the Kinda Funny Gamescast each and every week right here on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. We get together, talk about video games, all the things that we love about them. You can watch the show on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. You can watch it on roosterteeth.com. You can listen on podcast services around the globe. Just search for Kinda Funny Gamescast. We appreciate all of you for watching or listening. And we also appreciate all of you Patreon supporters. You go to patreon.com/kindafunnygames to get the exclusive post show to this show, or you get the show ad free. Also, you can be a Patreon producer like so many of you guys did in the month of January. Thank you very much for that. Shout out to James Davis, David Mintel, Mohammed, the nanobiologist, Frank Furter, Talia Floyd, Jesus Barrio, Eamon Martin, William A. Nance, Billy Laporta, Michael Bradley, Robin Weiland, Tom Bach, Jordan Luck, Julian Grutadaria, Max A. Blair, Cody Banks, Agent Cody Banks,
Hey.
Trent Berry, Jacob Plick III, Thomas J. Meehan, Sancho West, Sean I., Evan May, Stephen Insler, Elliot Kosh, David Norridge, Ben Woth, Adam Bankhurst, and Evan Ballard. Oh, the list's not over yet. Keith Lewis.
Adam Bankhurst is a freelancer for
Right,
Yes, he is. He's fantastic.
He's been
James
on this,
Hastings.
not this show, but he's been on Games Daily.
Nice.
Quaid Burnett, Casey Kern, Luke Pattinson, Travis Ray, and Joseph O. Yusuf. Thank you all very much.
Do you think Frankie Muniz is watching and like he actually did
100%
sub
as Agent Cody Banks himself?
Man,
You
what a
got
time
Miracle
we
in
live
Lane 2. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what
I
you're
bet there's
talking
some bad
about. What's
portable
that?
games about Agent Cody Banks.
Yeah, yeah.
I bet.
Exactly. And that's what we're talking
GBA,
about
I'm
today.
thinking.
Yeah, probably GBA.
Hey, what is
Agent
his lane?
Cody
I want to know
Banks.
what is his Lane 2 thing?
Miracle in Lane 2 was a Disney Channel original movie about him being in a go-kart.
Was this
I
like
don't know
post his appearance on Lizzie McGuire?
Yes.
Okay.
What was the Frankie Muniz horror movie about a video game? Remember what I'm talking about?
No, but there was probably a
That-
GBA game
yeah.
about that.
It had the dumbest name. I'm trying to remember what it was, but I remember that there was a scene where he was playing the game on a laptop in a van speeding down the highway. It's the dumbest fucking scene I've ever seen in a horror
Is
movie.
he a kid in it, or is
He's
this like...
he's a teenager.
Was this Agent Cody Banks?
No, this was a horror movie for sure. Stay Alive, that was it.
Wow.
Wow.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. No.
You gotta love it.
You gotta watch
love
The go-kart one sounds great, too.
The go-kart one is great.
Okay.
But today we are talking about iconic Nintendo handheld games. Now here's the deal, just to get ahead of it, I want to let you guys know. Last week we did the most iconic Nintendo console games. We saved the Wii U for the post show. You guys were upset about that. We heard you. We understand. We won't do that again. Okay? We
Where is
appreciate
Virtual
that.
going to fall between console and
So it's funny you bring that up. Virtual Boy will be the post show. It's not handheld or console. Get ahead of it. That sounds like fun extra bonus content. That's
Yeah.
not actually part of the whole thing.
Okay.
So just to set it straight. Obviously, whenever you have issues with the decisions we make, let us know. Tweet at me at Tim Gettys. You can go to the Reddit. You can just let us know. We're gonna listen and we're gonna adapt and we're gonna change. We're sorry about that. Totally hear you. Now back to it. Let's talk about some portable games. Let's talk about the Game Boy. Now, Sam, actually, I want to define iconic for you because we've had Fran on the show a lot for this stuff, and you can imagine how hard this was.
Oh, yeah.
He loves those
He
definitions.
demands definitions, but he will oppose your definition.
Yes.
Until you get it right.
Oh,
That's
yes.
okay.
Oh, yes. So we got it down to not a science, but something here that I feel pretty good about. Iconic. Famously and distinctively representing something. Instantly identifiable in relation to.
Whoa.
So this system. So in identifiable in relation to the Game Boy or the Game Boy Color or Advance or whatever it is. Not necessarily about quality or sales, but those things could factor in and often would factor in because that's how this works.
Yeah, the recognition can come from those things.
Exactly. But it's not like we're not just listing the top 5 selling games on your system.
One
right?
thing I didn't realize last time, it's famously distinctive. So last time we tried to throw Superman 64 into the N64, which is not going to fit that definition because it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, it also didn't make the list because
I'm just saying.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be exclusive to, but it does need to be tied to. So an example here is we put Call of Duty Modern Warfare, or Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, as one of the most iconic 360 games. Even though it's not exclusive, people associate it.
I had this discussion a lot about Resident Evil 4, where it's like, okay, it was a GameCube game.
It's a
but
GameCube
then it
game.
wasn't.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's best maybe on Wii, but like the GameCube is what I've always associated.
How do you feel about
Exactly.
Soul Calibur 2?
Well,
Is that a GameCube game?
Isn't the issue with that a lot of people actually like the arcade version a lot, and that was
Really?
like a variation on
For
GameCube?
2?
Yeah.
I mean, definitely not for one. One was arcade's version was not that great
Yeah.
compared to the Dreamcast version.
And
Oh.
then Dreamcast was definitely lead for that. I don't know about 2.
Because
And then
two was
is
the
that
one
the
with-
one that has the characters for
Yeah.
different...
Yes.
Okay,
So
so that
Link
had
with-
Link.
yeah, that had Link.
And then the other ones were
Heihachi and
lame.
Spawn.
Yeah, Heihachi and Spawn.
Yeah, those are lame. But then the next ones were Yoda and Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
like where it got more even. Yeah.
Well, next
then
one was
I
PS2
think-
exclusive, then Yoda and Darth Vader.
I think the fact that Nintendo worked on the arcade version, which was basically the GameCube version, and then also put Link in it, that's definitely a GameCube
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
You hear that, Fran?
Then again, Fran was in it at the time, right? He was covered. All the things that I know came from him writing about them on IGN.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was arguing for Eternal Darkness, which is a great game.
Oh man,
But
I don't know
iconic's
if that
hard.
one holds up. It has those like Resident Evil style camera angles and stuff like that, and it's really cool and scary. We shouldn't be talking about that.
And then the last thing is not necessarily limited to one per franchise. So for
I
our
love that.
Xbox original list, Halo and Halo 2 both
Yep.
made it. Because
I'm always a proponent of that.
That makes
PS2,
sense.
there's a bunch of GTAs that are probably better than every other game on that system.
So there you go. So that's it. Those are the rules. Cool? Game Boy. We're
Okay.
starting
Now,
with
is that Game Boy / Game Boy Color?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless you guys make an argument against it.
I
Because I
wouldn't.
feel like
Well,
there's
two
not...
generations, but yeah.
They're the same.
But Game Boy
really.
Color was like 2 years. Like it was like what 98 to 2000.
2001 was Game Boy Advance.
It's just like, you know,
Right.
Game Boy,
Yeah.
those years where Pokemon was out, it was definitely on both, you know?
Yes.
And then there wasn't a lot of things that were like, you got to get this in color. Like
There were some exclusive Game Boy Color games, and one of them I'm going to suggest for the list. But I don't know that we should be
mostly
separating
augmented,
them.
right?
Mostly augmented. Like
DX series.
there was a couple
Yeah.
of notable exceptions, I believe, like Ghost Babel and Pokemon Crystal.
Yeah.
Pokemon Crystal, you're right. Yeah.
So before we get to those,
was
though,
yellow?
Yellow was not
Okay. Just
Yeah.
augmented?
augmented. Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, Kev.
Yeah, we can combine those.
What are you saying, Kev? Like, oh, you're right. That's a good call. So before we do the Game Boy thing, even, what is our history with the Nintendo portable systems? Sam, let's start with you.
Okay, I got the Game Boy on my I don't know, like 10th birthday or something. The year it came out, that Christmas season, and I remember it distinctly because I wasn't a bad kid, but I could see through the wrapping paper that year, and I could see like the robot hands holding the Game Boy on the box, and it was like, you know,
Here
that's
we go.
a distinct memory I have that year, which is great. And then of course I loved Tetris and Super Mario Land, everything like that, and I loved the Game Boy. It introduced me to RPGs through the Final Fantasy Legend series, and it's great. And of course since then I've gotten everything.
All the systems, DS, 3DS,
Yeah, I'm a
all of
big
it.
Virtual Boy collector too.
Oh,
I
okay.
have the full run. I just completed it with Nestor's Funky Bowling. Hard to get. Oh, wow.
Imran, what about you?
Let's see. I remember my brother getting a Game Boy before I did. I remember losing my shit about that. So my parents bought me, or my aunt bought me one, like at a KB Toys, just to stop me from freaking out about it. With Kid Dracula, I think that was my first game.
Wow. Do you still have it?
I don't. I would
Do you
imagine
know
no.
why you wanted Kid Dracula?
Why I wanted that game?
Yeah. Because that's obscure at the time.
I
even.
really like
Did you
Castlevania,
And
yes.
so you knew. And that was the right choice because Castlevania Adventure is trash.
Yes, it absolutely is. I bought a GBA in high school. I bought DS. I think was the first handheld I ever bought with my own money. Then I pretty much bought every Nintendo handheld out there except maybe I own a Game Boy Color. I don't remember if I bought it at launch or not, but it has a
Were
copy
you a
of Lunar
Pokemon
in it.
player at launch?
Not
I
at
miss
launch.
Pokemon.
I think I was at that point. I was playing Pokemon games on emulators, so probably not.
badass, huh?
Probably not.
Yeah.
That's a
These
gray
streets.
area. But
Pokemon
Well,
Gray.
the early Game Boy emulators were really cool.
They were.
had a little, the marquee or whatever around the Game Boy. It looked really pretty. I remember getting those up and running very early.
yeah,
for
you can get
emulators.
Super Game Boy stuff on there, which is like that's the ideal. If you're gonna
Yeah.
play Mario or Donkey Kong 94, you want the Super Game Boy stuff.
Yeah, I never played Super Game Boy in person until later too. Like I didn't buy one of those. It seemed like a waste.
Yeah.
Bless.
So I was a kid, like a child, when like the Game Boy came out, or not even when the Game Boy came out. I don't even think I was born when the Game Boy came out.
88, 89.
Yeah, I was born in '94.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I had a Game Boy Color. Like Game Boy Color was my entry point. Played a lot of Pokemon. Definitely was a Pokemon kid. And I feel like for me, I had a lot of like strange games on the Game Boy. So my family's Nigerian, and my parents would travel back and forth from Nigeria. And I remember them coming back from Nigeria with cartridges that were like 120 games in one.
You get
or
access
whatever.
to those.
Oh,
I'd
those-
only heard about them at the time, and now I pick them up whenever I see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I had like quite a few of those cartridges, which were like just a bunch of like random like. I mean,
Isn't it Mario
the
Land
Terminator
like
2
and
70
all that?
times on there
Yes.
with different sprites?
100% yes. And so I'd play like a bunch of weird versions of Mario Land and like weird versions of multiple games. Like I think there was like was there a Castlevania game on Game Boy?
Yes.
I think I had a weird version of that.
The Castlevania Adventure. It
Yeah.
might have been just the regular version because the regular version's really weird.
Yeah, well, I had like a lot of that, and then like I think I spent most of my time actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories.
Hell yeah.
Dude, that was like my jam. But yeah, I had that. Had a Game Boy Advance. Didn't have like any like the 101 Game Boy games for that, but I did have like stranger games. Like I had Pokemon, which everybody had Pokemon. I had WarioWare, and I had like a few of like the mainstream, like, oh yeah, everybody played these games. But then I had like a lot of like I played Street Fighter on Game Boy Advanced, which was actually pretty
The
nice.
Alpha port is actually surprisingly amazing.
Yeah, I remember it
Was
being
it
like really
Alpha
fun.
1?
Yes,
I can't remember.
I think that was the
That
GBA
sounds
port.
about right.
That came to
Yeah.
Super
I just
Nintendo
rem-
really late too.
I just remember using Akuma a lot. That's all I remember
Yeah,
is like
that
trying to
was-
figure out like how does Akuma work in this game. But I had like a Tekken game on Game Boy Advance.
Tekken Advance.
I think there was like also a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game I had
Oh
on
yeah,
there. Yeah.
THPS 2.
They
Yeah.
did a
Launch
good
game.
job with those.
Yeah, no, like the early Game Boy
Isometric view.
the early Game Boy Tony Hawk games were surprisingly good for ports of console games. But yeah, the weird thing about my Nintendo history is that I didn't have a DS and I didn't have a 3DS because I forget what happened at the time. I think I was like living in Nigeria or something happened to where my parents didn't get those for me, but I did like have other consoles and so I was fine with it. And now I'm back again with Switch. And
There we
so
go.
there you go.
Yeah, I was similar to you where I was like too young for the original Game Boy. And like when the Game Boy Color came out, like we still didn't have enough money to get it. So I had to wait a little late for Pokemon. Like I didn't get Pokemon right away. I got stuck. Like my friends all played it. And then I played it like probably like 6 months later. And that's why I had to choose Bulbasaur so we could trade some
Yeah.
bullshit.
Was the
But
cartoon like full swing and stuff at that
oh
time?
yeah, I was all in already.
like, I don't get
and,
it.
well, I had played like I'd borrowed my friends like for a weekend and played through, but like I didn't have my own Pokemon until like later. And I didn't even have Game Boy Color, even though it was out by that time. I had a blue Game Boy Pocket, and it was freaking awesome. And God, the Game Boy Pocket, such a nice little
Man,
size.
Yes, yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah,
the
really
Game Boy
trimmed it down.
Advanced SP?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
dude, that
Dude,
cobalt blue.
I had a friend that
Woo!
had that, and I was so jealous.
That
I was
backlight?
like, dude, let me just play Spider-Man 2 on this real quick.
That's the definitive Game Boy Advance.
It's
Yeah.
so great. I love it
It's
so
I mean,
much.
sick.
I love the micro for like how like unneeded and unnecessary it is, but the clamshell was so good for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went from the Game Boy Pocket. I never had a Game Boy Color. Then I got a Game Boy Advance on launch day, and I got a Game Boy Advance SP on launch day. I did not get the DS, but Alfredo did, and so because I went PSP, he went DS, and then we kind of just like shared all
Yeah.
the time. I ended up winning out there because the emulators, but
You were probably covering games during the DS era a little bit.
God
though,
no,
right?
no. I was in
3DS?
high school still then.
3DS would have been okay. yeah.
3DS, yeah.
Yeah.
3DS was my first E3 I ever did was when the 3DS was announced.
Yeah. Okay.
And then so DS I didn't have until the DS Lite. That came after the DSi, right? Yeah, so DS Lite was the
DSi
first
came
one.
later.
No, yeah, so it was
I had the
light-
last one,
It
whatever
was
it
light,
was.
and then the DSi added some kick to it, so you
Yeah.
could play some games with some add-ons.
I had the DSi then, and then
And it looked
3DS.
classy, but the light was the one.
I didn't get a 3DS at launch. I waited and I got it when the XL came out, and then Switch day one, obviously.
I got one at launch. Bad move.
Yeah,
Not a great move buying a 3DS at launch.
It's a little Steel Diver action, little
And
Street Fighter.
Bad Street Fighter and,
And
Hen
Mario
Dogs
64.
and yeah.
All right, let's get
Pack picks.
into it. Game Boy games.
I feel like there's two very obvious ones that are going to be
I'm
complete
curious what
locks.
their obvious ones are.
Tetris,
Yes.
and then and I guess I'm going to leave this up to y'all. Like, how are we doing Pokemon? Because like there are different
I
versions.
think red, blue, yellow.
I think
is a
Red,
good
Blue,
way to-
Yellow makes the most sense.
Yeah.
If we count it as one game.
We count it as one. Okay.
Yeah, I could almost see an argument to have red and blue as one and then yellow,
Yellow
as
is a
another.
different one.
But
I would almost say we should.
because like it is it's the same game, but like I feel like yellow added so much
If we're-
of the anime stuff.
If we're gonna do different Pokemon games, I'd probably throw in Gold and Silver over Yellow. Honestly.
yeah, and then that's
Or
my
you do
thing.
different Tetris games. We could add in Hatris.
I mean,
Hatris.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's Tetris with hats.
Yeah.
It came out on everything.
there's an argument.
We don't need to talk about that.
There's an argument to include both Gold and Silver and Red and Blue, similar to how we did the
I agree.
Halos, because I feel like both of them are like iconic enough to the to the handheld.
I think that Gold and Silver should go on the maybe list.
Yeah,
and then
I
we'll
agree.
like see how this works out.
Yeah,
but
I'm with that. I think Blue and Red for sure on the list.
Yeah, that's
Gold and Silver
undeniable.
possibly.
I already made the thumbnail for this video. It's already blue and red. I feel other ones that we have to put in there. Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Right?
Yeah.
And we're almost done.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Is like we're gonna go through. We'll just name a bunch of them that might make it, and then we'll
You
like
know,
make the arguments and whittle down.
It's funny, like that system deserved a good Metroid, and it got a terrible Metroid.
Yeah.
So it does
man.
need Metroid 2. And I wouldn't necessarily put this in a top 5, but if you guys, it did get a good Kid Icarus. And there's a Metroidvania style, I don't use that word normally either, it's just a Metroid-like, a Kid Icarus game that's really cool called
You and Andy
Myths and
McNamara.
Monsters.
yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
But if nobody here has played it, it's not going to go on the iconic list.
No.
Also, because nobody knows what it is.
Well, that's the thing.
because it
It's
didn't
not
make
iconic. Yeah,
But
so-
Metroid 2 kind of was, and Metroid 2 kind of sold systems at the time, but nothing like Pokemon or Tetris.
Yeah, exactly.
And those are kind of the bookends of popularity for the two eras of Game Boy. Like Tetris, I know, like, you know, we all know Pokemon era a lot better, but in the era of Tetris, like everybody has talked about Tetris, and it was in everything. It was in movies and TV and everything, just completely ubiquitous, which I think is really cool.
And the Game
for
Boy
being
version-
the same system as the Game Boy version.
But the Game Boy version itself kind of like transcended all of that. So
Yeah.
even though it
Oh,
was
yeah.
everywhere, it was the one.
Yeah,
It was the one
preceded
that.
on PCs and arcades before that. Like Atari published it in arcades, so it's like the fact that Nintendo got the license, put it on a handheld, and put it on NES, but people didn't care about those other things very much. They just cared about the Game Boy.
Yeah.
It was huge.
And the story of how they got the license was like the most like insane story. Like there's in David Chef's Game Over, they describe it. Basically, like Nintendo executive went to Soviet Russia at the time to like negotiate for the rights for Tetris, which is
Yeah, and there's some middle people and stuff like that involved, which, you know, to this day are involved in the Tetris company that
Yeah.
like made those deals happen. But, you know, at the same time, like in that year, Sega published it in arcades in Japan. All right, Nintendo published it here, and Atari published it in arcades here. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
Sega,
that's
Nintendo,
nuts.
and Atari all had Tetris for a license. Like somebody played all those companies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, I feel like
awesome.
it's kind of still like that, right? Because we got Tetris 99 published by Nintendo. We got Tetris Effect. That was I forget who
Ubisoft?
published that. Was that you? No, that was
that
the
was
Ubisoft Effect.
Enhance self-published.
Self-published.
Yeah,
okay.
self-published. And then there was the Ubisoft Tetris.
Ubisoft does the Disney one.
Tetris Ultimate or something like that.
something.
They
like that.
they
Tetris
lost the
Ultimate
license.
Yeah.
was the Ubisoft one.
They
Yeah.
lost
Yeah.
the license now, but yeah.
Yeah, you're
it was
right
on
though.
PC.
So
Yeah,
Tetris
there's-
is still
Tetris is
playing,
still out there,
and that's
just
called
like-
the Tetris Company. And they keep on
But like
making
I
those
remember,
deals.
I very distinctly remember like when I was a kid watching 2020 with my mom, and they had a story about businessmen carrying Game Boys with Tetris in their briefcases. It was like this
Yeah.
new thing is taking over the world. Is like are video games the next huge thing? It's like yeah, of fucking course they are.
Wasn't
Yeah.
there like a first lady or a president who talked about how much they liked playing Tetris on the Game Boy?
Would have had to be been Clinton.
I don't know.
would think,
Obama
but I
has
don't
a
know.
Pac-Man sticker on his.
I feel like it was Michelle Obama. I'm gonna look it up.
Possibly. Yeah.
That's awesome. The funny thing about the Game Boy though is it lasted so long.
Yeah, it
like the
was-
generation
It's
for it
crazy.
was like over a decade.
Yeah, 12 years if you count the color.
And I feel like you do count the color. It's like the color had it's similar to like the new 3DS. It's like those are 3DS games. You don't count them as their
And
own
Nintendo
thing.
just didn't take backwards compatibility lightly at the time. They're really cavalier about it. So the fact that they put out a variant system and then they said, oh, you can play your Game Boy games on it. That was actually a big deal at the time. Parents really liked that.
Yeah,
Parents are
definitely.
like, you want a new system? It doesn't play your old games? Get out of here.
But it's a weird thing with Game Boy though, because the generation was so long, but it does have these eras where it's like there's the early games, and then there was just a lot of games, and they weren't bad. It's not like the Wii where it was just like shovelware,
Oh,
but
Game
it's
Boy
like
had tons of shovelware.
there was, well, it did have tons of shovelware, but like I feel like it also just had tons of good games. But like it wasn't until like '98 when things really started kicking up again with Pokemon, and
That's
then
right.
the Oracle games,
And there was
then
some excitement about porting to portable at the time, where it was like there wasn't a lot of, you know, there were other systems competing with the Game Boy, but boy, the Game Boy took off so much that like everybody's like, let's shrink our game and make it black and white, and that totally took the world by storm, and that's why shovelware happened. But like all these NES games and Super Nintendo games constantly got ported to the Game Boy, and those are the things we forget about because they're by nature inferior. They don't have color, they have fewer buttons, and it just sucks to play them. So like a lot of the things that we're talking about, like icon wise, like are people loved ports at the time, and we don't care about those anymore. So it's kind of interesting.
So with that, some of the games that I think kind of transcended through that were ports but enhanced and like made better on Game Boy, Donkey Kong 94.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
It's the best version of Donkey Kong. Like not even a version of Donkey Kong, but fundamentally taking that game and making it a better thing overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's the peak of the series. I mean,
Yeah.
after that, they went to minis and all this other garbage.
Yes.
There's a Mario vs. Donkey Kong game, which is pretty good. But, like, yeah, it's, there'll always be the amazing Donkey Kong arcade games for whatever they are historically and everything. But, man, what a cool platformer. It's just like a great Mario game in addition to a Donkey Kong game.
Yeah. Moving on from this, though, Mario Land, the series. I feel like some of those need to get some type of representation. I would make the argument for Super Mario Land 2.
Yeah,
6
that's the
golden
one. 6
coins.
golden coins. It's
Mario
got the
Land
bunny
2,
suit.
it's
great.
it's the most Mario-like of the two games.
Perfect
Mario
music.
Land 1 is just a weird thing.
Mario Land 1, while not a port of a Super Nintendo game, felt like it was just trying to do Mario portably, and it didn't do it well.
Mario 1. Like it
Yeah,
had
no, you're right. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
had some shooter levels, which is weird, but it had no influence. Like by the time Mario Land came out, it was like Mario 3 was out and everything. So they're like, oh, we can have suits and we can have really cartoony looks and everything. I just really like how much it did. I mean, if you see it now, it's so zoomed in and slow and all that stuff, but it's so creative. You go inside a giant robot Mario's guts in that game.
Yeah. Mario Land 2, I think, is a great game, and I do think it's iconic, too.
Introduce
the
Wario.
Game Boy. And Wario.
So
There you
the
go.
antagonist.
throwing one on the maybe list is one of the Wario Land games. There are different kinds of games, though, which is what makes
Wasn't
it
there only
difficult.
one?
There were on
Was there
Super
like
Mario
two?
Land
on
3
Game Boy. There were 3. I
Super
believe.
there
Mario
three?
Land 3 is called
is Wario
Land.
World 1. But then the other
War-
ones are on Game
so
Boy
wa-
Advance, right?
No, Wario Land 2 was
Really?
a Game Boy game.
Whoa,
Wario
just the
Land
second one. I missed that one.
3 was a Game Boy Color game. I want to say.
It just kept going, huh?
Wario Land 2 was the most interesting one because it was that game where you can't die. No matter what you do, whatever enemies do to you, you just get set back slightly or you use it to solve a puzzle. So, like, let's say there's a thwomp. And in a Mario game, a thwomp would traditionally kill you. But because Wario is not Mario, he just gets flattened by it, which you to snake through other parts of the level.
Oh.
Interesting.
So it's puzzles based on the platforming areas, but it's not reliant on you dying and
Yes.
stuff. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny because would you recommend that any of those are iconic? I mean, I didn't even know they
I
existed.
think I would put Wario Land 1 on the maybe list.
See,
I don't think
'cause
it's going
to
to
me,
beat the Mario Land 2.
I feel like when you look at the Mario Land games, it's like Mario Land 2 is so much more iconic than 1 or 3, even though like 3 was Wario's game, you know?
Yeah.
So
like his first real game.
Wario Land came out 1994, and that was Super Mario Land 3. And then Wario Land 2 came out 98 for Game Boy Color. And then Wario Land 3 came out in 2000 for Game Boy Color. And then Wario Land 4 was for Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So much Wario for me to dip back into. I forget about these games.
So there are a lot of land games on the Game Boy. We had the Kirby Dream Land games, the Donkey Kong
Well,
Land games.
Actually, while we're still on that Mario train, I want to throw in Super Mario Brothers Deluxe. Like, I feel like that one's at the very least worth mentioning. I would probably put it on my own list, but I could understand why, like, maybe overall it's more Super Mario Brothers 1, but also like it's a very good version, I think, of Super Mario Brothers 1.
I think that is a definite time thing for us where it's like, I also look at that game fondly, but
Yeah.
it's not a very good
Like,
version
that,
of Super Mario
is
Brothers
it not
1.
really? That's how I played
They
Super Mario
changed
Brothers
the
1.
physics a little bit, and it really upset people.
They changed
And
the
like
aspect
the
ratio
and the
too.
camera, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing. The aspect ratio kind of ruined it. But like I feel, and maybe this is a time thing of me playing that game as a kid and loving it so much that I like they added like weird features in there. Like there are like multiplayer stuff you can do where you can compete against other players.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. It had like simultaneous co-op, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like it's basically the
was, like,
prototype
competitive,
for
I
New
think.
Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah,
no,
and,
exactly.
and it was the forerunner of the porting all the Super Mario Brothers games to the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of the start of that.
Yeah, I don't think we could put it on the iconic list,
No?
but I love that game. Game Boy Camera,
It's weird.
Yeah, that's funny.
but I
The
mean, I
stickers
feel
are so good.
I feel like when you're talking about iconic, it's like that was a thing that when people think about Game Boy, it comes up in their minds, like
I
those
bought new old
commercials.
stock
and-
rolls of paper recently for the printer. I don't know if they work.
It had a really cool thing where like, or not cool, I guess, but the error messages if you didn't like slot something in correctly were like fucking frightening. Like just weird sounds and like weird pictures of
they
Miyamoto's
gamified
like
that,
face
right?
melting or something.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Wow, that's weird. But the Game Boy Color was like, I think, a moment. Like I remember.
What is it for? Besides taking pictures and giving them to your friends, there's games that it would tie it into. Right?
Yeah, it was like those weird little like they're games, but like it was just kind of like old school Instagram filters,
Yeah.
essentially, is what it was.
There
So
was
mainly
a,
for printing stickers, though.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
there was a canceled Perfect Dark thing with it, where you were supposed to be able to take pictures of your like friends and family members,
Oh, yeah.
and then like put them on faces in multiplayer matches, and then someone was like, "Hey, someone's just gonna take a picture of their teacher and shoot them." It's like, "Oh yeah, we can't do this. We gotta cancel this thing out." So that feature, I think you can hack it out still, but there's like no real way to get it to work.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Any other games you guys want to throw out there?
Metal Gear Solid.
Ghost Babel.
Yep.
There we go.
Wow.
It is a fucking fantastic game. Honestly, it might be one of the best Metal Gear games. It's just nobody really played it because it was like a 99 Game Boy Color game.
Yeah, that's my thing is like, I don't know if it would make an iconic list because it does feel kind of forgotten about.
Yeah, it's like very obscure.
It's dope though.
They made Donkey Kong Countries that I never experienced.
Yes.
Yeah, the Donkey Kong
I played those.
Are any of those standouts?
No,
They're bad.
They're not
they
good.
were bad ports.
I remember like I recently went back actually because I like going back and listening to random video game soundtracks, and I went back. I was searching for the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack. It's fantastic on Super Nintendo, and the Game Boy version started to come up, and I was like, oh yeah, I did play this on Game Boy. I went and listened to it, and I was like, this is terrible.
You guys should listen to the Donkey Kong Country Game Boy soundtrack.
It
is offensively bad.
It's bad.
The Game Boy
Is it like
Advance
cool
one.
and chiptune though? Is it like
No,
has
it's
some-
like
It's chiptune-y,
it strips
but-
any of the soul from the
okay.
other
'Cause the Game Boy has some pretty
versions.
good sounds. It's
Yeah.
stereo. Like they did a
This
good
game's
job.
not a good
Sometimes I hear a
example
Game
of
Boy
it.
soundtrack, I'm like, wow, that's on Game Boy.
Yeah, no, and the Game Boy version of Donkey Kong Country just looks like the whole thing about Donkey Kong Country on Super Nintendo is that like it looked different. Like at the time it looked amazing because they went for a different style graphically, and then like the audio stuff was fantastic, and like the soundtrack was like the whole presentation of Donkey Kong is fantastic, and having that game on Game Boy, like any part of the presentation that was great was just stripped back and just did not work. And so the core game was there. Like the game played like Donkey Kong, but it didn't sound or look or like present like Donkey Kong. And so it was kind of ruined in a way.
They did actually recognize that music problem at some point because like when they did Donkey Kong Country 3 on GBA, they had David Wise recompose a new soundtrack. So like that soundtrack is completely unique for the
That's
Game Boy Advance
awesome.
hardware.
That's great.
Other
Did
ones
you
I
guys
want
ever play Alleyway?
No.
Yes.
That's an early Game Boy game that's based on Breakout, which is, you move a platform and the Steve Jobs designed game where you bounce a ball off bricks.
Yeah.
But Nintendo made it, and all
Mario
the
comes in
designs
the
in it were
beginning.
Nintendo. And like if you were like saying like, oh, the perfect puzzle game ever about blocks is on Game Boy and it's Tetris, like this is like its brother, and a lot of people bought it at the time for that reason, I think.
Also, shout out to Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories. Not a great Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, but it's the one I played.
And now jumping off of that, a game that I do think is iconic to the Game Boy, but I wouldn't put it top 5 is Pokemon Trading Card Game.
Oh,
Because that
that's
was a
pull.
game that like jumped off of the Pokemon craze, took the card version of it, and then made an excellent RPG out of that.
Yeah.
That
I
game
was
is
gonna
the most.
bring up RPGs. That probably is that and Pokemon are like really good examples of portable RPGs. For
I've
sure.
never seen a game more blatantly cheat than that game.
Where
Because
they
like
just don't give
every
it
it'll be
rubber
like
band?
10 coin tosses in a row that will all go against you,
Oh,
no
okay.
matter what.
Yeah. So Sam, I kind of have a blank spot when it comes to a lot of the Final Fantasy games.
Yeah,
and
so
the-
there's a really amazing one that I don't know, like we were just talking about this Final Fantasy Adventure, which is actually the first Secret of Mana game, perfect game about stabbing monsters and exploring Zelda style. So it's a Zelda clone, really wonderful game. And then there's the 3 Final Fantasy Legend games, which are. They're obnoxious and old feeling, but like that we didn't have much else at the time. They're all like Final Fantasy 1 mainly, 1, 2, 3. I wouldn't recommend any of those. But Adventure though, that is a killer game that everybody should play, and it's in the recent Mana collection.
Do you think that it's iconic to the Game Boy?
It's the problem with all Final Fantasies is that I would say Final Fantasy 1, 4, and 6 of that era are the most iconic, and nobody ever mentions this. So like I already know which ones from that era are, and Game Boy, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
We'll see what people write in and talk about. I know if Jared's listening, he'd back me up with FF Adventure.
The Zelda Oracle games, I think that's another situation that is similar to Pokemon, where I'd count them as the same, even though they are different games. But
Those
I
games
feel
are amazing.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
But I think that Link's Awakening is in such a different league in terms of
It got lucky because
being
it got a
iconic.
reissue this year.
Yeah. Well, and also it had a reissue for Game Boy Color.
Yes, it did.
You know?
It did.
Oh.
It's being kept to top of mind. I don't know. I'd be. It's hard.
There was one
It's
of
hard
those.
with the Pokemon games. Like we got to choose a spot that has either Pokemon games or Zelda games in it at this point. It sounds like.
Yeah.
There was one of those Oracle games that was supposed to be a remake of Zelda 1, and I can't remember which one it was, but like you could see where it starts to diverge, and that's the kind of way I want remakes to work. Of like, this is kind of like what I think it is, but actually now it's going to be totally different towards the end.
There's supposed to be a whole third game in that too,
Mm-hmm.
and the connection between those games is really fun. You take these like chains of codes based on your name, so they're not unique unless you use somebody else's name. Which then you can get them off, online on IGN.com. Then you take those and you put them in. You have like a new game plus type thing in your other game. Like it was really interconnected and cool.
Yeah, I hope we get
They're
remakes of
beautiful
those.
also.
Yeah, so much fun. But okay, now let's start whittling this down. So Tetris is on the list for sure.
Yes.
Mario Land 2
Sure.
for sure. Pokemon Red and Blue for sure.
Yeah.
Link's Awakening for sure.
Yeah, so
So we
got
have
that slot.
We have one more spot.
I think Gold and Silver go there, and I don't
I'm
even
with
like
you.
those games.
What's the rest on that?
Well, you
list?
don't,
You don't like those
Gold and
games?
Silver?
No.
Wow.
I think the Pokemon go downhill from the first one.
I've never
Gold
heard
and
anybody
Silver
say that
are
ever.
Top
Yeah.
tier, man.
I mean, I
I
was
respect
thinking the
it.
actual pocket monsters are lame in it.
Oh, the actual Pokemon?
Yeah, like the 151 are like amazing. And I thought I can't even name one from those games anymore.
oh
Like,
man,
had
dude,
to-
I would argue.
starters.
I get it, but like I would argue that the 251 are like
Yeah.
they're there.
But I
can
feel like
agree with
that's
some,
me.
like-
I feel like that's me with every generation. I feel like with every generation of Pokemon, I can name less and less. But I feel like that's
we
me
go.
also. Like,
And then
is that
the,
Pokemon behind us? Yeah.
And then the of course I watched the anime a lot during that time, and like I never saw an anime episode that even featured that second season. So I
The
just don't
Johto
think I was
Journeys?
into
Johto
Pokemon.
Journeys,
Oh
dude.
man,
It's a whole new world to be in, man.
it's a whole
What
new
was
place
else on
to
the
see.
maybe list besides?
I
Gold and
remember that
Silver?
Ho-Oh tease. That was weird.
In episode 1. So Metroid 2, Pokemon Yellow, but nah. Kirby's Dream Land, Metal Gear, Pokemon Trading Card Game, Final Fantasy Adventure, Zelda, Oracle of Ages, Donkey Kong 94.
I think Donkey Kong
Well,
94
that's
is
a good one.
the only
Okay.
one that I
Game Boy
didn't see.
Camera.
Yeah, that's the only one that Donkey Kong 94 is
For a
the
more
only
fun
one that's
list,
competing.
DK94 could be in there.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, DK94 was a huge push by Nintendo. Like they launched a Super Game Boy with it, so DK94 was their big thing of, hey,
Yeah.
you can. These are not only handheld games; they're also console games.
It graced the cover of Nintendo Power in a heavily Super Nintendo area.
Yeah. on a best list, I could see putting like 94 in gold and silver, even like with that taking off blue and the
and
other
blue.
color,
Yeah.
red and blue.
Gen 1, Gen 2.
Yeah, but as far as like iconic, then I think you had to put gold and silver on there before 94.
I agree.
What if we replaced Mario Land with Donkey Kong 94?
I don't think you can.
I would recommend people go play it now, but that's a different topic.
That is, that's different. So I feel like we should vote then on Donkey Kong 94 or Pokemon Gold or Silver.
No, you guys can have gold and silver. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I totally get it.
I would go
This
with
is-
either one.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I'm-
close.
I'm-
It's definitely
yeah.
I think 5 and 6.
The fact that we've talked about it in this way gives me
Yeah.
hope.
Okay, so Pokemon Gold and Silver making the list. Moving on to the Game Boy Advance.
By the way, we got away with what, like 9 games there because of the extra colors.
Yeah,
So it will be so much
exactly.
easier if Game Boy just do top 9.
Game Boy Advance. Start us off, Imran.
I mean, we're gonna end up having this conversation a couple of times, but Pokemon Ruby Sapphire.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just get worse.
So Ruby and Sapphire, definitely. The question I have is Fire Red and Leaf Green. The first
Oh
remix.
shoot! I forgot. I forgot those came out on Game Boy
Yeah,
Advance.
they did.
Oh,
Are those good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're great.
they're awesome.
It's such a good idea that they did that at the time too, because it made it so much easier to get all the Pokemon you want.
Exactly.
I would say they're on there, but I'm down for talking about it way more.
You know what we
'cause
fucking forgot for the Game Boy? Mario Golf.
I didn't forget it. I
Just
just
golf?
included it.
Mario Golf.
I do
Oh, for the Game Boy Color?
associate
Yes.
Mario Golf with the Nintendo 64 a little bit more.
For me, it was the Game Boy Color because of that RPG mode.
Yeah,
Which was
people
great.
love it.
Camelot, man.
But I guess like it wouldn't get any of the other lists, but just want to throw that out.
Shout
there.
out to
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Shout out.
Okay.
I'm going to say Metroid Fusion.
Yeah, I was gonna go straight Metroid, but I think Zero Mission.
Zero Mission, I
is
think,
you shouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem with this is that they came out so close to each other. I think more people will probably recognize Fusion. But
Yeah,
boy, Zero Mission's a better game.
My thing is Zero Mission is a better game, easily. I freaking love Zero Mission. But I think that the suit from Fusion was so... and you know how
I don't know,
like
Zero
Crash
Suit
Bandicoot...
Samus is pretty on the tip of the tongue at this
That's
point.
true. But you know how Crash Bandicoot like screams 90s? I feel like the Fusion suit screams Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
I think so too.
It was
yeah.
the right color scheme and everything. I just feel bad because Metroid Zero Mission's got it all. And then there's the Castlevanias.
And then there's the Castlevanias.
Was that Aria of something?
Aria of Sorrow, which is the best one, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, I think people go with that. Well, because Circle of the Moon is not like those ones.
Yeah.
And then there's Harmony of Dissonance. Maybe is the
Wait,
other one.
that's DS one?
Harmony
No,
of
the DS one
Dissonance
is
was a
called
GBA.
Dawn of Sorrow.
You're right, because the
Yeah.
D and the
And
S.
then Order of Ecclesia, and then
Yeah.
Portrait of Ruin, then Order of Ecclesia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Aria of Sorrow is the
That's the one.
is
People
the
always
one.
say that, and that one has Alucard as a main character and stuff like that.
I'm looking through this list. There's like a shit ton we still like have to.
Yeah, Golden Sun.
Golden Sun.
Golden Sun, I think, is on that damn list.
I know people.
Advance Wars.
That's their favorite game of all time. Advance Wars
Advance Wars.
is perfect. Right?
WarioWare.
WarioWare
WarioWare.
Twisted, right?
I would
Really?
go first.
I would go the
WarioWare.
first
Yeah,
one
yeah,
also.
yeah,
Yeah.
Twisted's good. It's really good. I think the first one's more iconic. To
People didn't used to think. We were just talking about this ahead of the show. It used to be all Twisted. Everybody said Twisted's the one to do, but I've been sliding backwards myself. Love the first one.
Final Fantasy Tactics Advance.
I feel like
That's a
it's-
PlayStation game.
Yeah. Even though it's a different game, it's like
Well, if you had to choose one, I mean, Advance Wars, people are gonna.
What-
That's the one, right?
One that I don't know is
Tactical
going to make
RPG.
it, but I at least want to talk about is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I think that one's definitely iconic, but that might be top 10 and not top 5.
I agree with you, and I think that like there was something about it that helps it be iconic, but not necessarily in a good way because it wasn't Mario RPG, and people wanted Mario
Yeah.
RPG.
That was me.
People
I was
wanted
like-
Paper Mario.
Yeah,
and
I was a
it's
Paper
like-
Mario person coming into it. I was like, I get what this is, and it's cool that they're doing like really fun things with these characters, but at the same time, I'd rather just play Paper Mario.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories.
No.
I don't. Yeah.
No.
I don't know, man. I mean, like
a
first
shout out
Kingdom
to
Hearts
it.
on Nintendo platform.
But it was also the second Kingdom Hearts ever. Like.
yeah. But I mean,
it-
still,
there
that
wasn't,
was
like-
like a
Is this a tough crowd for Kingdom Hearts fans?
No, I like Kingdom Hearts a lot.
yeah.
I think
Just
Chain of
on that
Memories
one,
is
okay.
better on PS2, and also it still sucks.
Yeah, no, it does suck, but that's not what we're asking.
I think it's fine. I think it was very cool that they had FMV on the GBA, but like, I think we get through 15 other games before we get
Yeah.
through Chain of Memories.
That's the thing is, I think it's noteworthy, but I think there are definitely a lot of other games that would come before it.
I
on
feel like
the list.
what I was saying about the Game Boy library being like so vast, but like so just good. I feel
Yeah.
like Game Boy Advance has a lot of great games
Yeah.
and like very few perfect games.
Well, it was weird because it's like if you look at what Nintendo themselves did for it, it's probably their least hands-on system because they've put out more first-party software for almost every. There was no original Mario for Game Boy Advance.
Which brings me to my next topic: Yoshi's Island.
Super Mario Advance,
Not a great game. Everybody had that game. It was the Super Mario Advance game. Yeah.
Yoshi's Island.
That was
feel like-
so big. It sold my little sister on a Game Boy Advance. She never played a game in her life. That game was
That's so
everywhere.
interesting. I mean, Yoshi's Island probably my favorite game of all
Yeah,
time.
I mean, they ruined Yoshi's Island for it.
They
but
did with the
it
sound
was
effects
everywhere.
and-
So you
and
think
all that.
Mario World was it, or Mario 3?
well,
I don't think any of the Mario's honestly.
yeah, I don't know. I think that this
Man,
is one of those
Yoshi's
ones-
Island was so big on GBA. I can't even think of owning a GBA without Yoshi's Island.
Huh? I wonder
It had a
why.
whole second life.
Because then,
I
They
feel like I
pushed it
remember- I
hard.
feel like
It was
I
on the
remember
cover of Nintendo
commercials.
Power.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I remember commercials for it and being
yeah,
like,
I mean, I
and the
remember
same for
commercials
Donkey Kong.
all of
I think it was
those.
really near launch.
No, Yoshi's Island was late.
Was it
So
The launch was Mario 2.
yes,
Game Boy Advance?
Super Mario.
Super Mario
But they
Brothers
didn't
two.
go in order, though,
1
right?
was Mario 2.
Yeah.
Super Mario Advance 2 was Mario World. Super Mario
Oh.
Advance 3 was Yoshi's Island.
Yes.
Super Mario Advance 4 was Super Mario Brothers 3.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
with
and
the
that one
e-card,
added the e-card
e-readers.
stuff.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah,
going to
those
throw
are
out
cool, too.
what Nintendo thinks the essential GBA games are based on what they put in the ambassador program for the 3DS.
Wow.
Cool.
Oh.
Cool.
So F-Zero Maximum Velocity,
Okay, no, that's not.
Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Advance 3, Legend of Zelda Minish Cap,
Minish Cap, yeah.
Minish Cap,
It's great.
Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror,
No.
Mario Kart Super Circuit, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, WarioWare Inc., Metroid Fusion, Wario Land 4.
Yeah, they nailed a lot of them in there.
Can I say something controversial?
Go for
Go
it.
for it.
Mother 3.
Yeah.
You know what?
It's definitely been talked about a lot.
That's an
Straight up-
interesting. But my
I
thing
should
with
have never
that
played Mother 3.
is I feel like more people would associate it with just
The emulators.
with
Yeah,
with
'cause I-
current systems, even though it's not on them.
I've played quite a bit of Mother 3, but like an unofficial translation, like most of us have. And people want that game. Like,
Yes.
But I don't think they associate it with GBA.
I mean, it was only on the GBA though.
But I feel like
Yeah.
there's more people now that just want it just because
because they know it exists.
they know it exists than associating with the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, I think Iconic is a harder thing to do for that one.
Yeah,
I'm
it's,
telling you guys about Yoshi. You don't believe me, but I was there.
I straight up don't. Because
uh,
I remember trying, I was like, oh, this doesn't have enough buttons, and I stopped playing.
I kind of loved it because I loved the trigger, like the shoulder buttons being used for the like aiming the egg, and like that wasn't how it was on Super Nintendo, and I prefer the Game Boy version in that respect, not in any of the other respects. Although they had bonus levels that were extremely difficult, and those were a lot of fun.
Did we put Minish Cap on that list? Because I
Do
Yeah.
we?
Or do we?
The problem is it came out around the Oracle games, and those were better. And so
No,
it's
War
really
Games
tough.
are years earlier, right?
No,
Minish Cap would have been
those are right
2000
on the heels of it. I mean,
I think it was like a 6-year difference.
Minish Cap would have been
It wasn't a
2004.
6-year difference.
I think it was. Minish Cap must
We're
have
fact
been
checking this.
2003?
It's later than
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
I
Oracle
think.
games are in the 2000s.
Were they? I
Yeah,
thought it was 99.
no, they're like 2001.
Minish Cap came out in 2004.
Yeah, it's the same team, so they could not have come out that often or that
But
quickly.
that's the thing. Capcom only had that license really briefly. They churned out those games.
Hmm.
I'm figuring it out. But Minish Cap, I don't think
The
people
Oracle games were
associate that
2001, so they're 3 years
2001,
apart.
wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
The
There we go.
old guy knows what's up because he was there and
To be
buying
fair,
those,
those years
boxes.
blend. They blur together.
3 years is not a short amount of time. So
It is for 3 Zelda games.
I
Like
mean,
Capcom.
there was a weird part in like 2000 2006 where Nintendo was like really fucking heavy on Zelda for no real apparent reason. I guess because
Not on GameCube.
Ocarina did so well. But I mean, they had 2 Zeldas on GameCube. That's not a
Yeah, not by then. No.
Yeah.
Well, they were just getting out Wind Waker, and then they did their horrible Four Swords games. So
I like the
sad.
GameCube
4
one.
stars were dope.
The
Hey,
GameCube
for
one
you-
was fine.
For Game Boy Advance, does Pac-Man Versus count?
I don't know that it would make the list, but like God, it was a
It was a
moment.
whole E3.
Yeah, infamous, sure. So okay, trying to narrow this list down. The ones that I have bolded right now are Golden Sun, Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, Metroid Fusion, Advance Wars, Ruby and Sapphire, Fire Red and Leaf Green for Pokemon, and WarioWare.
WarioWare. Oh, WarioWare, not Wario Land. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Any others that
there
Fire
was a-
Emblem, I
there-
think, should be one of those.
See, I have an argument
You have
against
to
it.
choose between that.
It
and
was the
Advance Wars.
first American Fire Emblem, right?
Yes.
Nobody played it. Nobody gave a
Lots
shit.
of people played it. It was a massive
No,
success.
I
Fire
remember it
Emblem
going-
was
getting
only
passed
relevant
by.
in Smash Melee or later with Awakening.
Yeah,
They wouldn't
and
have brought
Melee, I
games
was like,
over
what
at
is
that
this?
point. If like,
They
I
didn't
don't-
want to bring it over.
no, they didn't before that. They thought about cutting Marth and Roy from Melee for America.
Yeah.
But then they left them in. They're like, hey, why don't we make it a game specifically for America with introductory chapters with a character who's related to Roy?
Mm-hmm.
So they made that game. It succeeded for quite a while. Then I think around 3DS is when that series started dipping again.
No.
In terms of in terms of popularity. That's
No
what-
way.
When they,
No,
no,
Awa-
hold on.
Awakening is by
Awakening.
far the biggest.
Before
Fire
Awakening, I mean. Because when they made Awakening, they're like, this is going to be the last Fire Emblem game if this doesn't succeed.
Yeah, I mean the GameCube one flopped. I feel like Fire Emblem on GBA just flew under the radar.
I don't think it
Yeah.
went under the radar at all. I think it was
What
one
about
of the
Advance
GBA
Wars?
success story. Advance Wars is dead now.
Well, I'm not saying like I was just saying as a GBA game.
I feel
it
like
had
Advance
Advance
Wars
in
was
the name.
way more iconic for GBA than Fire Emblem on the GBA.
All right, neither of them are on the list. Then. You both
I
happy? Are you
would put
happy?
both of them on the list before I put neither, but
All right, hold on. So closing it out then. Let's see. How many do we have on this list? We got
we have a lot.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
This actually might be worse next generation.
So we
too.
need
What
to
about
cut 3.
and Aria of Sorrow?
Aria Star is there.
Okay.
I feel like some Castlevania representation has to be there for GBA, and I think that's the right one.
Pokemon for sure.
Pokemon for sure. It's a question of is it both of them though?
Yeah, that's
For me, it's Ruby. I put 600 hours in that game.
Yeah, Ruby for sure. But the question is Leaf Green and Fire Red on there?
I
as
don't
well?
think so.
I think so. Like
I don't think it's
It's
iconic
tough
to the
'cause, like-
GBA. I think it's like, oh, that was one of those Pokemon remakes.
But
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
it was-
what's
it was
the
like the
remake?
first
the
one.
remake though. Like that was the thing. It was like it was
yeah.
the first time, and it was just like, oh shit, and like being able to play those games again in
I would
those
say it's on
HD
there.
graphics.
Look,
Then
I think it's clear we're just going to pick Pokemon games for all 5. So why
So
don't you
we-
guys just do it?
I
when
think
we
so.
move on?
I think
We
so.
might
though.
not for next generation, the generation after.
Metroid Fusion, I think, is there. Golden Sun, like God,
I-
this is hard
yeah.
to cut them, man.
Can we
Golden
vote
Sun
on?
was obscure but beloved.
Yeah. Can we vote on Fusion versus Zero Mission?
Yeah,
Okay.
Well, Fusion, I
it's-
think,
I think
is
it's
the more
Fusion.
popular like around town one. I mean,
I think
Mission's
Zero Mission
the
is the
dark
more
horse.
popular one because,
Really?
like you said, Zero Suit Samus is like the
It's
more
the
iconic
best.
look of that character.
Yeah, is that because
I
of
think it's
that
one of the
game,
best
or is
games
that
ever
because
made.
of Smash though?
it's because of Smash.
She's
One-
in Smash because of that game.
Yeah.
No, she's in Smash because Sakurai's a pervert.
I
Who,
gotta-
who votes for
She didn't have heels in that
Fusion?
game.
I would go for Fusion over Zero
I'm going to
Mission.
go for Fusion, but I don't
Ah.
like it.
You're betraying me here,
It's a
Sam.
terrible Metroid game.
I thought you were going to vote with me, which is why I
No.
mentioned the vote in the first place.
I'm sorry. I would have, but it would have been a tie, and then we would have been here all day talking about it.
Yeah. So then we have to start.
Wait,
cutting
does Kevin get to break ties?
some. No.
Okay.
We just gotta hope we don't have ties. So okay, Which of these should we get off the list? Golden Sun, Castlevania, Metroid Fusion, Advance Wars, WarioWare, Fire Emblem, Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Fire
Red
Emblem.
and
I think Fire Emblem needs to go.
I would put Fire Red and Leaf Green out first before I put Fire Emblem out.
I
I
would
would
not.
I'm gonna
Sam.
vote with Imran this time just because I don't know what
Is there?
happens.
I mean, if you can
I feel bad. I don't want to let him down. I like him.
I can be swayed. Like, is there an argument you would make that Fire Emblem for Game Boy Advanced is an iconic game
It is.
above Fire Emblem?
It
or
took them
above
20 years to
Fire
bring
Red?
that series to America, and when they did, they specifically made it for America. It's one of those like, it's. I think the GBA games have better animations than probably every other game since then.
It's not about better.
You guys have to remember, I
But
think
more
you're all
iconic.
nuts, and
But
that
that none of
Yoshi's
people
more
think-
popular than all of these games combined. It
When-
was the biggest deal ever.
When people think about old Fire Emblem, they think about GBA Fire Emblem. They don't think about SNES Fire Emblem. They don't think about GameCube Fire Emblem.
No, they
think about
don't.
the
When you
GBA.
think about old Fire Emblem, they think about the 3DS Fire Emblem.
That's not old Fire Emblem. That's modern
Yeah,
Fire Emblem.
They don't think about
that's,
old
no, that's
Fire
what I was gonna say.
Emblem.
I never think about old Fire Emblem really. Like Fire Emblem for me, like it starts when I think about when I think what comes to mind when I first think Fire Emblem, I think of the 3DS games or Smash.
Awakening is the Final Fantasy VII of Fire Emblem.
Yes, totally.
Unfortunately,
I
I
think-
wish a bunch of people cared about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 Final Fantasies, but they don't.
Because for me, the argument for Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green would be that, like, yeah, they're the first Pokemon remakes, and yeah, like when you think Game Boy Advanced, like Ruby and Sapphire and Fire Red and Leaf Green are the two first games that come to mind.
I don't.
Really,
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, to me,
that might just
definitely.
be. And it
I
could
had to
be,
remind
I think
they
it,
existed when you guys mentioned it.
it could be an age thing also, because I was
But,
definitely of that
here's
age.
the thing. Like I said earlier, it's not about quality. It's not about sales. But like
Right.
those things do factor in.
But, like,
look
when-
at the sales. Those games sold so well on the Game Boy Advance.
But Ruby outsold them, so
yeah,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
but I
but
mean,
like
I'm saying,
Ruby's
like-
like number one on this list.
yeah.
What about WarioWare?
WarioWare,
Yeah,
I think, is here for sure.
I think WarioWare's here as well.
Okay, good.
So then, yeah, but we're losing spots here. So I feel like with this, I would have.
I'd kick out both Fire games if we're gonna do that. Like
Both
not
Fire?
as spite, but like
No,
both-
I get it,
Fire.
and I'm kind of with that
Do
because
you-
I feel. What about Advance Wars?
I can see the argument. I would want either Fire Emblem or Advance Wars on the list, but
I think
Wars
Advance Wars is a game that we keep on coming back to. It's like it's so wonderful and it's good, and we all talk about it a little bit now. But like at the time, it just wasn't. It wasn't the biggest deal on earth.
Yeah, I
No
think
one didn't care.
I didn't know about Advance Wars until after the GBA,
And it was rare right away. It got expensive right away, which is not
Well,
a
it came
good
out on
sign for
9/11.
Iconic. Yes.
that might have been the reason.
I remember going to the GameStop and trying to pick up that game, and the GameStop clerk looking at me like, "Oh shit, did I do something wrong?"
You know what's happening right now. Go home. Get the
all right.
Jay-Z album, then go home.
Golden Sun. Is there
Oh,
arguments
man.
against it?
No,
I wouldn't.
Again, it's like it used the weirder stuff for the GBA, so people knew about it. Like it was like, did you hear about the game that uses this stuff? Like what was it? The light and dark stuff. That's the game, right? No, that's
You're thinking
Boktai.
Boktai, yeah.
Yeah. You know,
Golden Sun
is
was
just a great RPG.
It was like a Shining Force,
Okay.
not battle system, but like it was made by Camelot, so it looked like Shining Force, but was a traditional JRPG.
Yeah, that was everybody talked about that game at the time. It
Could
did
you read
really
all what we got?
Golden Sun, Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, Metroid Fusion, Advance Wars, Ruby and Sapphire, Fire Red and Leaf Green, WarioWare.
I think Castlevania absolutely 100% has to stay.
Okay. So then, of these, WarioWare, Golden Sun.
Shit.
or Pokemon games.
At this point, I would argue to take out Fire Red and Leaf Green.
I could be fine with it.
Or you could play as WarioWare.
wrong,
or
but I can
put
let it
WarioWare
slide.
instead of Golden Sun. I mean, I just feel like those are,
So that's
I would put WarioWare.
we
above
now have to
Gold
cut
Sun,
one
yeah.
of these: Golden Sun, Castlevania, Metroid Fusion, Advance Wars, Pokemon Ruby Sapphire, WarioWare.
I think Advance Wars.
God damn.
I agree.
There's no part of that list I feel nice or happy cutting.
Yeah.
Well,
Like-
clearly I don't know anything about Golden Sun, so you might as well just replace that with WarioWare.
I would.
I think
I'll side with Blessing and go Advance Wars.
because I think it's either Advance Wars or Golden Sun. But I don't have a personal connection to Golden Sun like that. I just know how much people like fight for that game.
Yeah. That's iconic then. All right.
Yeah.
We're cutting out Golden Sun then. So the final list is Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, Metroid Fusion, Advance Wars, Ruby Sapphire, WarioWare.
Great, nobody likes the list. Are you happy?
Solid list.
Y'all happy?
I think it's solid.
democracy in action.
Yeah,
no one's
every
happy.
single time we get to the final list, I'm like, these make sense.
Yeah.
These are iconic
It's
fucking
good.
games.
That's
good.
the frustrating thing is that we like argue about this list for so long, and then we get to the list like, God damn it, these are all great games. This fucking sucks.
So DS here. All
I hate
right.
great games.
You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. Actually, before we do that, let me tell you about our sponsors. This episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast is brought to you by the Besties podcast. You guys out there know that we love all things video games. We know that you love all things video games. So I want to tell you about a Spotify original podcast called The Besties. It is one of Andy Cortez's favorite podcasts of all time. It's just some best friends hanging out talking about video games. Sounds familiar to a lot of people. Am I right, Barrett?
Yeah.
There we go. Every Friday, the creators of The Adventure Zone, Justin and Griffin McElroy, are joined by their two best friends and hardened video game reporters, Russ Frushtick. Sorry, there's notes here of how it's pronounced, and it's making me trip up, even though I already know this. And Chris Plant, to go deep on a single new video game. If you've been a fan of Polygon, you'll know these guys because they co-founded it. That's the whole thing. Plus, the Besties cover all the major moments in video games in 2020, from new console launches to Cyberpunk 2077 and beyond. And at the end of the year, they do complete showdown, pitting all the top games of the year against one another to get to the top game of the year. It's pretty epic. Andy's been talking about it for years. And that's the thing. Andy is a true fan of this. He's loved it forever, always trying to get me to watch. And now I'm trying to get you to watch or listen. You can find the Besties on Spotify, which also has your favorite podcasts, including all of the Kind of Funny podcasts. Get on this Spotify podcast, baby. You can listen to the Besties free only on Spotify. Listen to the Besties free only on Spotify. Next up, shout out to ButcherBox. Shout out to ButcherBox. That's what it is. You love meat, right? I love meat. Kevin loves meat. Barrett loves meat. Everybody here loves meat. And I love meat one way and one way only, delivered right to my door. And ButcherBox makes sure that that's how that happens. It's steak night. Is any culinary occasion more delicious? No. The answer is no. It has less marbling than a ribeye, but the texture is unbeatable when we're talking about excellent steak here. The filet mignon. It's still missing the fat. That's nothing but a quick wrap and bacon won't fix, and that's what they do here with ButcherBox. All meat is free of antibiotics and added hormones. Each box has 9 to 11 pounds of meat, enough for 24 individual meals. Wow. It's packed fresh and shipped frozen and vacuum sealed, so it stays that way. Options like 100% grass-fed and finished beef, free-range organic chicken, heritage pork, wild-caught Alaskan salmon, bacon that's free of nitrates and added sugar. They really thought all this through. With ButcherBox, you get the highest quality meat around for just $6 a meal, and they even have free shipping nationwide except for Alaska and Hawaii. I'm sorry, guys. You can get 2 filet mignons, a pack of bacon, plus $20 off your first box when you sign up now at butcherbox.com/kinda or use promo code kinda at checkout. That's 2 free filets, a pack of bacon, plus $20 off your first box. Just go to butcherbox.com/kinda or use promo code kinda at checkout. And finally, shout out to Hims. 66% of men start to lose their hair by age 35, and once you've noticed thinning hair, it could be too late. That's why you should get on this, just like Andy Cortez did, just like Nick Scarpino did. It's the best way to prevent more hair loss, to do something about it while you still have some. It's time to grab the new year by the follicles. The hair follicles. There you go. 4hims.com is a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and sexual wellness for men. There's no snake oil pills or gas station counter supplements. These are prescription solutions backed by science. They keep everything discreet. There's no awkward doctor visits. You just answer some questions with the doctor online. Next thing you know, you're getting your stuff in a good discreet box. It's all good. No worries, no concerns. You can dive into 2020 hair first right now. You guys can get started with the first month free. Go to 4hims.com/kinda. That's 4hims.com/kinda. Prescription requires an online consultation with a physician who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Offer valid only if prescribed. 3-month minimum subscription. Additional restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Remember, that's 4hims. 4hims.com/kinda. 4hims.com/kinda. Now back to it. DS. The original DS.
New Super Mario Brothers.
Oh yeah,
That game
I had that down too.
sucks.
It sucks.
But
it
it's
also
iconic,
sold
though.
40 million copies.
It was under the high bestseller on that system too.
Yes, it's
That's
one of the- up
crazy
there.
considering Brain Age is on it.
I mean, might as well just put the Pokemon on there now. Well,
So
Nintendo-
here's,
No
Pokemon.
here is the
Nintendogs,
question
yeah.
about Pokemon. I feel like this is the console gets interesting of which ones are the iconic ones.
Black and white.
oh, I
think
forgot Black and White
2
came
was
out on
really
this
good,
one.
too.
There were a bazillion and a half Pokemon games on the system. We
Yes.
have Diamond and Pearl, Black and White, Heart, Gold, and Soul Silver,
Oh, yeah.
and
Which are amazing remakes.
Black and White too.
Ooh.
DS sold a lot and it's lived for a very long time.
This is a
Maybe
controversial
none of
thing.
those Pokemon games are iconic.
I was about to say controversial thing.
It has a
I
great
think-
era in the 3DS.
I think that those are some amazing Pokemon games. Heart Gold and Soul Silver are my favorite.
Yeah, I was
of
gonna
all
say,
time.
don't like Pokemon fans like
However-
Black and White's my
Heart Gold.
favorite of all time.
Wow.
I just
It's
don't.
so
I
good.
think that the DS is, when you talk about iconic, I think that there's more games that are weird that people associate Pokemon more with Game Boy and Game Boy Color
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Advance even than things like Brain Age or Professor Layton or
Yeah.
Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix
Right.
Wright. Oh
Nintendogs.
shit, we actually have Phoenix Wright on
Nintendogs.
here.
Like,
Those are the four right there already.
the
Those
DS
are
is
great
weird.
ones.
The
Those are
Cooking
great.
Mama.
Those things sold that system so thoroughly at the time because they're talked about, not just because it wasn't just sales numbers.
So I have a list of ones. We're going to go down, and if you guys think,
And I wouldn't
think
recommend
yes,
anybody play them.
I'm going to bold it to start the conversation. Nintendogs.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Mario Kart DS.
I can't speak on it.
I'm going to say no.
I'm gonna say no.
It's a good
too.
game,
Yeah.
but whatever. It's not like...
It wasn't Mario Kart Wii.
was console until it hit Switch. Like that.
Wasn't there a
totally
good
about
Mario
consoles.
Kart on Advance, or am I crazy?
Super
No.
Circuit?
There
We
was
mentioned it.
a Mario Kart
did we
on
mention
Advance.
it?
Super Circuit.
It's just like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Super
Super
Nintendo
Circuit.
game where it has like
Yeah, I
mode
think
7
I played-
rotation. It's really I hate it.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's only because there was like at the time you could play Double Dash. Like it was
Yeah.
crazy to play.
Yeah, but
that game
IGN
on
gave it a
Game Boy Advance.
7.9 though, right?
Well,
Brain Age.
You guys know who gave that game a 7.
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
no,
that's-
we give it
Friend
all
of
the
the
time.
show.
That's the joke. Fucking Fran. Brain Age.
Yeah,
I can't speak on
I'd
that.
say
I never played
yes.
it's one of the
I
most
think it's in the
iconic games of all
conversation.
time.
Any of the Pokemon games.
No idea.
I'm going to say no.
Let's throw Black and White and Soul Silver on there just
Okay.
just to talk about them
Black
later.
and White has such good monsters in it.
It does. It's my favorite, like because it was that first generation that went, okay, fuck all the rest of the Pokemon.
We're starting again.
Yeah, it's just 150. That's all you get for right now.
Yep.
That's exactly what I love about Pokemon. Is learning a new
Chandelure.
team.
Animal Crossing Wild World.
Yes,
it. Really?
it's one of the most popular 3DS or DS games.
It's a lovely, perfect handheld game too, and it's like you couldn't get better. You thought until it came out in 3DS, and it was really good.
Mario 64 DS.
It's
I'm gonna
I
say,
mean,
I'm gonna
no,
say
it's terrible.
Yeah,
Iconic?
no.
It's
It
I
was a
think
launch
it's,
title, so it's tied to it. But
I think it's
Oh, okay.
I think it's infamous.
I
it
mean,
gets beat
yeah.
out.
People even avoided it at launch.
What a dumb decision. Hey, man, you know the game that everyone loves, the analog stick
Yeah, I
for?
was gonna
This
say-
console doesn't have an analog stick. You get a little thumb thing, though.
They tried
if
though.
that game came out today, it
There
would be
was no
really
thumb
loved
thing.
though.
It was the stylus.
No, there was the thumb
Yeah,
thing.
there was a thumb
Oh,
thing. you
that
put on-
thing. Oh,
yes.
the piece of plastic.
It came with a dumb piece of plastic that you could touch the
But you can
screen.
play
But like
Yoshi.
the actual design part of that game, where like they're adding multiple characters and remixing the stars, that's super cool.
There's a lot of
I
cool
wish
stuff
they
in
would
that
have
game.
like made that for
There's
a real controller.
More levels in it, too.
Yeah.
They
You know
weren't
that thumb
great.
thing came with the system with Metroid.
Yes.
Metroid
It was a
As
demo.
as the
Metroid Prime
demo.
Hunters.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be like a first-person shooter attachment. So like
Yeah.
even using that for like Wario or for Mario wasn't like a big thing. It was kind of a hack to do it.
Dude, tangent, but could you imagine if they made a Super Mario 64 Switch where it was like, hey, we're taking the Mario Odyssey engine and mechanics and putting that into Mario 64, or
remake.
I guess putting Mario 64
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah,
man.
people have asked
Oh,
for
man.
it. They just
Man.
Oh, man.
I just want the castle back in that way. I mean, that's in Odyssey in a really cool way. But like, what if like that was the hub world again?
Oh, man.
I'm very much into the Mario hub.
God,
world.
look at
love
this
it.
list. There's so many. I'm gonna say yes to.
So
That
there's
sucks.
two Zelda games, Phantom Hourglass
Yeah, you can skip those.
and Spirit Tracks.
Spirit Tracks, I think is fine. It's
They're
not
great.
iconic.
Yeah,
But
I
I
don't
actually
thi-
love both of them. But yeah,
They're not iconic.
How do y'all feel about Chinatown Wars?
yeah, that's an interesting one.
I don't think it's iconic.
It's a pretty cool game.
Yeah, it's a cool game, and it it definitely had moments. But like, I feel like when you really look back at the list, it's not.
It's not gonna
on
make it.
there. Professor Layton, and the Curious Village,
I'd say yes. Just put it on the list for right now.
because I feel like
It had that creativity that it could only have been on the DS. It was
Yeah.
about puzzles and about touchscreen and about thinking, and that's like that whole brain age situation like really became latent.
Professor or no, yeah, wait,
Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix Wright,
Yes.
Ace Attorney.
100%.
You know
Kingdom
what's funny?
Hearts.
I always
I'm
associate
just gonna
Phoenix
say
Wright
no.
with like covering video games.
Which Kingdom Hearts
Like,
was
when
that?
I started reading about games, like for 10 years, IGN and the early sites that I was reading at the time, like when Phoenix Wright came out, everybody plugged that on the internet. I wasn't reading about it in a magazine. I always think about that. It's like that was kind of an internet sensation game instead of like a print mag thing. That's
Yeah.
when it flipped over for me.
Yeah, that's interesting. It was Kingdom Hearts. The
138 over 6
yeah,
divided by 2.
358 over 2.
exactly. I'm gonna say no.
No.
WarioWare Touched.
No, that's not. I mean, like, there's people love Twisted in the first one at the time, and Touched is so great, and I liked it better than those, but like, it wasn't beloved for some reason. It was a great cover, bright
Yeah.
orange.
When I think about WarioWare Touch, I think I really liked it, but then I realized I'm actually thinking of Rhythm Heaven, which is a much better game.
Yep.
Yeah. Elite Beat Agents.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cookie Mama.
Yeah, that's a really cute one to have on. I mean, but that was kind of like a Brain Age-esque game that was trying to reach new audiences, right? Like that's what the DS really was good at with brain training and Nintendogs. But I think Cooking Mama would be a third to those two to try to reach like basically non-gamers.
Any other games to add to the list?
Plenty. Trauma Center.
No.
Any of the
that's a good one.
Castlevanias.
What about Meteos?
Meteos is also a good one. Sakurai made one.
Disney Meteos.
Disney Meteos, not Sakurai made.
Okay, Trauma Center, Meteos, a Castlevania you said, but
Yeah,
which
I love
one?
those.
I personally love Order of Ecclesia the most.
Me too.
Dawn of Sorrow is probably the most
That's the
loved.
iconic one. And it also has DS in the name.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it also had like that time where people were like putting every touchscreen thing they
Everything
could do.
yep.
So it had that dumb boss thing.
So my thing with Castlevania is, I feel like it's more associated with the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, it is. We're just getting it out.
I feel like it hit the Metroidvania stride on DS.
Yeah, I think they got very good, but
Boy,
I
there's
just
no
think-
good Metroids on DS, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
too bad.
Anything else?
Contra? Contra 4, yeah. The Way Forward one.
I liked that game, but
Sonic
around.
Rush?
What about that Star Fox game?
No.
That was the only good Star Fox game after the first one.
that was not good.
Wait, are you?
No, it was
Are you
good
saying
on DS.
64 is?
I did not like
64 is okay, but like I think the first one's a lot
64
better.
is way better.
Yeah, but you guys, you don't understand what it was like to have a Super Nintendo and play a 3D game on it when all your friends were getting PlayStations.
Kirby Canvas Curse. I think it was the game that showed the touchscreen worked.
Ooh, I'm gonna get in trouble for this one. I think it's the only good Kirby game.
That's Tetris DS.
Now I like the Dream Course too, but in terms of a Kirby platformer, that one is so good.
I might be on an island alone here. The world ends with you.
Yeah, I thought somebody was gonna bring that up.
It deserves a shout out, but like I don't think it's gonna get most iconic.
It
right?
is interesting to me because like it's been ported several times and all those ports have been worse because the way the DS worked, you can't replicate that control scheme anywhere else nearly as well.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's a D-pad in one hand and a stylus in the other.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work without two screens making it work.
What's the Nintendo World Store exclusive music game that had little plant life or sea life in it?
Electroplankton.
Electroplankton. Yeah.
Jesus.
Deep cut.
Fucking electroplankton.
You had to go
Got a
to New
stage
York
in
to
Smash
buy it.
Brothers.
It has a stage in Smash Brothers that our streamers used to play on that stage because it's just a green screen,
Yeah.
so you can replace it with whatever you want.
God, it's
Remember
so
when
funny.
all we had to play was Yoshi Touch and Go?
You know what? I will stand by Yoshi Touch Go as being pretty okay.
I like it. It's an arcade game.
Also,
I love
like,
arcade games.
have you ever tried to play that game on the plane? Because the plane, if you blow into the mic, it erases everything.
That's right,
So
yeah.
the plane's constantly making noise to erase it. So it's like this
plane's a
super
big
hard
eraser.
mode.
A game that I'm gonna give a shout out that doesn't actually make the list, but I think gets way too much hate is Yoshi's Island DS. It's
You know
not
what?
It's
that
got
bad.
Baby Donkey Kong in it.
Yeah, it does. Baby Peach.
So like Yoshi's
Not
Island
bad
DS.
is not good for a sequel to Yoshi's Island though. 'cause
True.
That game
That's
is
true.
exquisite, and it should deserve a better sequel.
The
Yeah,
thing about that
yeah.
game, it was made by a lot of old Sonic Team people, and I mean like Genesis Sonic Team people. So it's actually one of the better 2D Sonic games.
That's interesting.
You know
I
who made a
didn't
Sonic
know
game for a DS?
Sega.
BioWare.
Oh yes, they did.
that. Oh my God, you're right.
So one of my favorite stories about that game,
Chronicles of something or other, right?
Dark Brotherhood.
You know,
Dark Brotherhood.
Before this, by my desk at work, I have 2 tubs of every single Game Boy Advance game and every single Game Boy Color game from IGN's archives. I had them pulled out of the library, and I just put them in tubs, and they're in this funny container by my desk. And I was looking through it today to bring some jokes onto the show, which I might have for later. But I found one, and it was a Rockstar game for Game Boy Color, licensed. Can you guess what it is?
No.
A licensed game. It's based on a movie. It's
Agent
Austin
Cody
Powers.
Austin
Oh
Powers.
right, that trivia thing.
Made by Rockstar. And with the Rockstar logo, like the contemporary, Rockstar logo
Wow.
right there on it.
That's
Isn't that nuts?
So bizarre.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
All right, I feel like we need to start whittling this list down.
Okay.
It's real long here. Imran, you want to add any more though?
I'm still looking. There's a bunch of games I love that I would totally add. It just like Ghost Trick is a game that I'm so fucking in love with. It just
There's no
well
way.
people
that's
call it
iconic.
iconic.
All right, so
We still don't have RPGs on this list except for Pokemon, which is weird, but World Ends With You might be a good one for that.
new Super Mario Brothers. It makes the list.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless of quality, I think
Nintendogs.
I'm keeping quiet about New Super Mario Bros. 'cause you're right.
Nintendogs was like the vanguard of the casual
Brain
overthrow.
Age and Nintendogs. Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Brain Age.
I think we're going to put one or the other.
Yeah, and I feel like at some point I'd go Nintendogs over Brain Age or even Cooking Mama.
Guys, Brain Age melted the world.
It did.
It was on everything. Nintendogs was a completely different experience. It's just we think of them in that kind of non-game category.
Blessing, what do you think? If you had to put Brain Age versus Nintendogs.
Oh, Nintendogs easily. Yeah.
So they both go on.
I mean, I'm not against that. Pokemon Black and White or Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
Those just seem like lesser Mons.
Better Mons.
I think
but
better
just
Mons.
less iconic Mons.
Mons. Yeah.
Black and White's problem is it came out at the very end of the DS lifestyle, so it's our DS lifetime. So it's hard to say it's iconic.
I just think that when you think of iconic DS stuff, it's all tied to the touch chip because it did so much unique things, right?
But then again, the first one we put on this list was New Super Mario Brothers.
What about 120 classic novels?
Wait, was that a thing?
What about
Yeah, they put on DS. Like Nintendo published a series. It was like an all-in-one book series where you read on. You remember when you could turn it on the side and read it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Clubhouse? The weirdly popular Clubhouse games.
Oh yeah, Clubhouse games. It was always in MPD numbers.
Yeah.
all the time.
It was like
it was
the top
like
10.
darts and dominoes and stuff.
Yeah.
it's just garbage.
It was like Nintendo made too.
I think it was
super
probably like
strange.
sold in like Walgreens, like in the pharmaceutical aisle or something. Like, it was just everywhere.
But it like ended up being one of the best selling games of the generation somehow.
So we decided to take the Pokemon games off?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Animal Crossing Wild World.
I'd go all in on that. I mean, it's weird, but like it was the one.
Was it the one?
Until 3DS came out. But
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's my thing. Is
Each
like,
successive Animal Crossing has been more popular, except for the Wii one. But for me, I feel like people associate that game with DS.
DS.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
New Leaf was also extremely popular. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Just not.
I think for me it feels weird though. I know we just cut Pokemon, but the idea that Animal Crossing Wild World would get on there before Pokemon.
Because Pokemon's
Heart
iconic to
Gold
Nintendo handhelds. I'm just not sure about the DS specifically.
Even though it had
And
so many of them.
Yeah.
This was the Animal Crossing that broke onto handheld, and it was just so exquisitely matched for that because of the menuing and like all the stuff.
And also,
just
like,
worked so
this is
well.
when Nintendo was beginning their big thing of like targeting women as like actual
Which
players of
lots of
video
these
games.
games on
And that's
the
what
list
Animal
could
Crossing
be
was
classified as.
the tip of that spear.
So Professor Layton in the Curious Village. I feel like we can just get ahead of this, and I would put
Phoenix
Wright
Wright. Yes.
over Professor Layton.
Sure.
I
That
agree.
makes sense.
It has more memes now, right? It does. I mean, that's
Yeah,
a real thing.
totally. Cooking Mama.
I think the function it serves is better served by Brain Age.
Yeah.
And Nintendo's.
Elite Beat Agents.
I fucking love that game. Tatake Owendon was one of the first games I ever imported. Like, I probably put more hours into those 3 games than I have almost any other rhythm game I've ever played.
I will fight for Elite Beat Agents. I feel like it is a weird example of unique DS abilities tied with weird Nintendo shit.
Yes.
And it's just like people love that game. And it's like it's a cult classic, but it's the type of cult classic that even if you didn't play, you understand the memes of
Yeah,
it.
I'd
You know
back
what
you
I mean?
up on that.
Yeah.
Trauma Center.
No, I
wouldn't
think
say so.
I love it.
Second
You
to
drop
Phoenix
it.
Wright and Layton.
Yeah.
But
it's
of the
an
weird, what would you classify those as? I
It's
guess
like
career games.
I mean, Trauma Center was like an arcade game that happened to have like a surgery like
games.
aesthetic, but
Meteos.
It came and went really fast, so I totally
Yeah.
get it. But when there was nothing else out for the DS, thank you, Medios.
it was an interesting story because like we would not have gotten Smash Brothers back if that game didn't fail.
Yeah. Thank God. It did. Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow.
I want to say yes, honestly.
Yeah, I get it.
I know we just put Aria of Sorrow on the last list, but Dawn
Hey,
of
there's
Sorrow.
no Metroids in this one, so you might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kirby Canvas Curse.
I also want to say yes, but I think I'm outmanned on that one.
Yeah, I would normally back that up, but I love these other games.
Yeah, I think that it's on a top 10 list, but like I feel 5, it's not going to make it.
I think of the touchscreen traditional games, it's probably the best touchscreen traditional game, like best to represent the DS.
Where you come in on this?
I got no input. I'm not familiar.
Okay. Tetris DS.
Nah.
It is my favorite version of
It's a
Tetris.
great game, but yeah, I don't think that it's tied.
I
with
played
the
it in
DS.
line while waiting for my Wii.
The World Ends With You.
12 hours.
Amazing game. I think pretty iconic. Like has not been done nearly as well as the DS.
Yeah.
but it doesn't. One of the most iconic games compared to everything else on that list. I don't think
Surprised
so.
it doesn't have sequels. That would have been a good indication.
They just
They've-
re-released it, right?
Yeah, they've teased sequels a couple of times and just never done anything with them.
It's evil.
We're doing pretty
Kingdom
good here,
Hearts
guys.
3.
Okay.
We're doing pretty good. We have 7 games.
Oh,
So
man. I thought you were gonna say we had 6.
We only need to get rid of 2. all
Okay,
right?
let's leave this
New
way.
Super Mario Brothers, Nintendogs, Brain Age, Animal Crossing Wild World, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Elite Beat Agents, Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow.
All right.
I
Get
think
rid
we-
of Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
It's
I
fine.
was gonna say
I
Animal
agree.
Crossing can probably go.
Okay.
I think we drop Animal Crossing and Nintendogs.
No.
Nintendogs.
Nintendogs
I think you guys
stays.
like Elite 8 B agents a lot.
Yes.
But that's not a.
That's kind of where I'm at too. Like Nintendogs is the one that stays.
You guys
like,
you dug your grave for this one. Iconic does not mean good.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
with that.
Now, my thing is, though, and this is crazy, but I think Elite Beat Agents is more iconic to the DS than New Super Mario Brothers is.
That's crazy.
and I made this
interesting.
argument before.
If you made that argument for Castlevania, I would agree with you.
and, well, Castlevania, I also think that.
If you didn't have to write the sales numbers for 10 years, then you would understand.
I get it, but I'm talking about
Salespeople on
the
this side of the
being
table.
tied to thing, and I think that the new Super Mario Brothers thing. I made this argument last
Yeah.
week for the Wii and Wii U stuff. Too many of those games came out too close together that you don't associate them with the systems. It's just kind of a blur.
This
of
one you
new
do, though.
I
This
just-
one
Mario
is.
I don't know, man. I feel like for me, when I think of New Super Mario Brothers, I think of Wii specifically. Like I still
What?
think that, yeah.
That was
But
a hot seller, too.
Proving my point.
Yeah.
It
It's
was
just
a hot
like it's
seller.
just kind of everybody has a
But
different touch tone.
literally, we're putting a Castlevania on here that has the only difference in title is one word. You know, like Dawn of Sorrow versus Aria of Sorrow. That's like if we're differentiating
Oh, you're
between
pulling
based
the
on like
title card
blurbs.
now. All right.
Like
Well, if that's the
a lot of
case,
these things.
New
blur
Super
together.
Mario
Well, I mean,
Brothers
in
only
this
has
case-
one word difference, too.
I feel like New Super Mario Brothers. I get it being an iconic game for DS more than Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
I would say Elite Beat Agents beats Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow.
At this point, I think I'm okay with losing Dawn of Sorrow. I love that game,
Yeah, that's fine.
and I think
Over Elite Beat Agents?
I mean, I think
I-
you guys just like Elite 8 Agents.
I like.
a lot.
Oh, I like. the
Nobody
argument.
cares about that game.
I like the argument for Elite Beat Agents in the sense that, like, you're kind of min-maxing a bit of like, oh yeah, not popular, but at the same time, it represents a specific thing about the DS that you can look at it and be like, oh yeah, like this represents like the weirdness, the quirkiness, but also like the functionality of the system. I can understand why you'd put it there.
The motion carries.
Okay.
DS games are New Super Mario Brothers, Nintendogs, Brain Age, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, and
What a
Elite Beat
handheld.
Agents.
no, honestly, you can make the argument that the PS2 and the DS are the two best consoles of, like ever.
Like the original DS.
Yes.
As somebody who did not own one,
Isn't that exciting? You
this
have so many
list.
games to catch up on.
I'm like, I don't know if I
That's a good thing.
I don't know
agree.
if I'm with you,
I
man.
don't know if I'm with you.
But that's a good thing.
Sounds
You
like I
have
didn't know one for a reason.
whole library of magic to explore. Don't start with those 5.
3DS. Another weird system.
It is. At least it had its own Mario game, stuff like that. But it's hard because we're still in 3DS to see what's iconic. Because some of the things we've been talking about weren't at the time.
Yeah.
So it's hard to look into that.
I mean, I feel like Mario 3D Land is on that list.
Yeah. I mean, it's great, and everybody played it.
It's
What if
great.
we forget about it though?
It's a unique type of Mario game, and it utilized the 3D in a way that was like at least semi-interesting.
I want to start off with a weird one. Street Pass mini games.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's a fantastic
Yeah,
answer.
you like it? Cool. I'm out.
Yeah, Street Pass. There
Yeah,
you
I
go.
could Street Pass definitely. That's not Yu Saito made, but Yu Saito inspired.
Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the
I would Awakening over Fates.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. Metroid Samus Returns.
Ugh.
No.
It's fine. I
is
think like
fine.
it's the only 2D Metroid on there. And I would say put a pin in it because it does say Metroid is not dead. Because remember there was that not weird time, but the time the whole Metroid fan base lost their fucking minds when Federation Force was revealed.
Yeah.
And they saw it as a genuine slap in the face.
Yep.
And then Samus Returns comes out. It's like, oh, actually, Metroid's not dead. Metroid's still
But everyone's
around.
like, oh, but why is it not on the Switch?
That's kind of a bummer graphic.
So let's have the Pokemon conversation again.
Yeah.
X and Y, Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon.
I think X and Y.
I feel like X and
sucked.
Y they did suck, but I think they make the list.
I would put Sun and Moon over it.
Really?
Just because like Sun
I
and Moon
think
was
Alola Pokemon made a big difference.
Sun and Moon was their time of like, hey, we're not as stale as it looks. We're still like, it's hard to say because that game is like 2 years old.
I feel like X and Y brought a lot of people back though that had not played the DS era at all. Like I remember being at IGN when it came out, like everyone was playing it, and it was a lot of people that hadn't played since Ruby and Sapphire.
That's true. I don't have enough distance for Pokemon right now.
Yeah, a lot of this one is hard to say because like it's.
I do have enough for Animal Crossing though.
There we go. Animal Crossing. New Leaf. Definitely.
So I'm gonna throw in the stalwarts in Link Between Worlds.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what to do
I
with that
forgot that was
because
a 3DS,
I guess I think Link Between Worlds probably should be the choice, but I think the remakes are so good.
I mean,
that was what I was going to
I almost would make the argument that Ocarina of Time is more iconic than Link Between
Between
Worlds
Worlds.
on the 3DS.
What sucks is that it doesn't suck, but it's a good thing. That's the definitive version of that game now. Like it's the smoothest, best version with all the stuff in it. But yeah, it doesn't. I don't know if I associate it with 3D.
I would hear the argument for both. Honestly,
I think-
being on
So
the list.
here's my argument. Like looking at the 3DS, I feel like so much of its library, especially in the early days and when it was first shown and first pitched, was kind of like, here's a bunch of ports that we're doing that are being enhanced by 3D. We had Star Fox 64, we had Zelda. When you look at those, though, I really think that Zelda was the one that they marketed, they pushed as being like, this is Ocarina of Time, and so many people are going to play it for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, we all love it from the N64, but it's like, it was a huge hit here, and it was associated with the 3DS.
Well, I mean, like 3DS originally was just very cynical, like, I don't want to say cash grab, but it was a thing of saying, hey, all those people who grew up with the N64 are now like 20, 25. They've got money. Let's market towards them, which is why you had stuff like Ocarina and Star Fox.
Yeah.
But it's so simple. It's just Ocarina again with better graphics. It's hard for me to put it above Link Between Worlds, which is
hear
a
ya.
fresh
I hear
new
ya.
Zelda. In a lot of ways, like a presenter to Breath of the Wild, of them rethinking conventions of Zelda, of how they present that game.
So can we skip Kart and Smash, even though those were big at the
Really?
time,
I
because
think
they
so.
didn't last? You know?
Yeah. What's your argument?
I mean, I don't have an argument for it.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Smash lasted for a month until the Wii U version came
Totally.
out.
Exactly.
And then that
It was
it.
like
Exactly.
the first portable Smash game should have been a much bigger deal than it actually
But
was.
those
It
were
was
like
only
two
a
of the
big
games
deal.
we looked forward to the most. It just didn't. They didn't matter in the end.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Iconic-wise.
I think I'm just more so surprised because that being the first Smash on a portable system.
I know.
feel like means
It was
something.
a month out. Like
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
the only.
But that was the big thing.
I bought it
But,
because I wanted to play Smash, and then like when the Wii U game came out, I never touched it again. I don't think I ever updated it again.
We got Kid Icarus Uprising.
I fucking love Kid Icarus.
Wow,
I
I've
think
never
it's-
even heard that.
I
take.
think it's one of the best Nintendo games ever
Did you
made.
get the thumb strap
What?
back out for it?
No, I played with so I laid in bed and I had the
brace.
DS or 3DS on like
Yeah.
balancing on me and just had the stylus like there.
Yeah.
That's the way I played it, so it did not kill my wrist. But in terms of design, writing, presentation, I think Nintendo has never made a game quite like that again.
They certainly haven't.
I love the game too. It's interesting with the iconic conversation though, because it's like in a lot of ways, I think that there's many arguments that it is. Bringing the franchise back, making the franchise relevant for the first time early on in the system's life, like one of the first games that of consequence really on
It was
the
one of the first
3DS.
announced games too. Like I
Yeah.
remember at the E3, Iwata going like, "Hey, here's Kid Icarus," and everyone saw that trailer like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, and Pitt had that Smash Brothers brawl kind of juice going into it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that really helped.
I think it's a funny troll game. I think you should put it on the list.
That's how you end up with it actually on the list.
Steel Diver, another funny troll game.
Oh boy.
But
yeah.
no, didn't last the test of time.
No.
Bravely
Default.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's one of the it's I don't want to say like started a JRPG or classic JRPG renaissance, but it was fairly popular in the West, and as a JRPG, it got sequel, it had fans.
Yeah. I just think that I can't imagine a world where I would put that and over any of the Pokemon games or any of the Zelda games.
I agree with Zelda. I don't necessarily agree with Pokemon.
Yeah. What else we got?
I tried to make this happen last week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it again. I'm not even gonna try it again. I'm just gonna float the idea. Shovel Knight.
Did we put it on Wii U or did we not?
We did not. I tried so hard.
Yeah. That's another one where I just think it's associated across everything.
Yeah, it's hard.
I
with
didn't
the-
play it
the
on 3DS,
system.
so
I didn't play it on 3DS.
It's
either.
hard for me to
Yeah.
like associate it with that, but I could see the argument. Yeah.
I just wanted to float the idea. I'm not gonna fight for it this time because
All right,
I also
all right.
didn't play it on 3DS.
I'm going to take New Super Mario Bros. 2 just straight off the list.
Yeah.
Right?
That is
Oh,
a game that
definitely.
definitely
Was
is not
just-
iconic
it
because it was
just
too
happened.
I
crowded.
Yeah.
really like that game because I think the coin collecting is super fun in it, and it's really cool. But it just came and went.
So, question for you guys, just because I don't have the history here. Monster Hunter.
Yes.
What console is it associated with?
So
PSP.
Yeah, originally PSP.
Vita.
So when it came to 3DS, it was a huge fucking deal. Like that, it wasn't going to Vita instead. 4 was the big change for that series, and it ended up doing a lot of what World got credit for. But because it was on a handheld and because it was like so difficult to play one of those kind of games, it's not as well loved as you would think. It's what got me into the series as somebody who like toyed around with previous games, but I could definitely see an argument for it to be on that list.
Which one is?
The Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I don't know if Monster Hunter as an entire whole is iconic in America.
I
It
mean,
is in
now it's the
Japan.
best-selling Capcom game ever.
Yeah, but that's not saying much, you know.
I mean, it isn't any world where Street Fighter 2 exists and Resident Evil exists.
Yeah, but it's not the best-selling Capcom game in America.
It actually might be at this point.
Street Fighter 2 is. Worldwide, easily, though.
All right, so
Also, we could talk about this all day. There's no way Capcom's numbers are accurate for things like Mega Man 3 and stuff like that. On every single cell phone, it was just like, that's crazy when they released those stats.
I assume they forgot.
Yeah, they forgot. They totally did. Honestly, Mega Man Collection is an amazing 3DS game. Shouldn't be on this list, but it's so good.
So we got 12 games on the list now. So we got to start whittling down. Link Between Worlds, Mario 3D Land,
I think they'll say.
Fire Emblem Awakening,
They're all first party. It's so funny.
Metroid Samus Returns. That gets the cut.
Yeah, it gets cut.
I think it gets cut.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Bravely Default. I think it gets the cut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was an itch game. Good, though.
Pokemon Sun and Moon, Pokemon X and Y.
I would love to leave one of those.
I
on
think X
that
and Y
one.
make it.
That's fine, but I really think Alola form Pokemon is a big deal.
I think the problem is
They're
that
they're in Pokemon Go. Like,
yeah, that's the thing, is that neither of these games are the most popular Pokemon game of that era. Is Pokemon Go was.
Yeah, that's a good point. Where you fall in the Pokemon trend.
I mean, I haven't played either X and Y or Sun and Moon, but I do have, like, my friend Ian talks a lot about how Sun and Moon was the thing that like revitalized his joy for Pokemon because of the ways in which they did what Imran was saying, right? They made it not stale anymore. Where they changed up how gym leaders work, right? They did the Alola form stuff. And from what I understand, like he fights for that game, so I can see the argument for it, but also like I've not played X and Y. And so
Yeah.
If there are no Pokemon games, what do we have? If we were to leave them,
yeah,
off.
Animal Crossing New Leaf. That stays.
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kid Icarus Uprising.
Okay.
Debatable.
I would swap. That would be fine to have instead of a Pokemon for me. I think it's funny. I just think it's funny.
I'd be a bet.
'Cause it was a big flop.
That deal.
Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate.
The iconic flop.
Ocarina of Time. Street Pass.
I think Street Pass goes on there for sure.
Yeah,
Me too.
I love Street Pass RPG and all the stuff that was in there. It was great.
I think Ocarina and Monster Hunter are a bit more iffy.
So I say we
Wait,
cut
so,
them.
so is there no room then?
I mean,
We had 12 and we were like,
we're still whittling down.
Oh, okay.
So cutting those two then. Well, actually,
We have
Ocarina.
5 now, right?
I'm still arguing Ocarina over Link Between Worlds.
I would love that.
I think Ocarina got more pushed because Ocarina was the only thing they had for like the first year.
And I think that tied it to the system a
Did
lot,
it.
you know?
So you have 5 bolded now?
We have 9 now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So, but there's a couple that we can like cut out here. So Street Pass is a for sure.
Yes.
Well, let me rebold these actually. So, Street Pass, for sure. What are other for sures? Mario 3D Land
Yeah.
and Fire Emblem Awakening, I think.
Yeah, that's good. Sure.
Yeah, if we're going iconic, I can see the argument for Awakening.
You had one other that was
Animal Crossing New Leaf.
Yeah, New Leaf. So there's really just one.
So there's
slot
one
there.
slot left. One slot left for Ocarina of Time, Link Between Worlds, Pokemon Sun and Moon, Pokemon X and Y,
Oh man.
or Kid Icarus Uprising.
I think Link Between Worlds is that game.
I think
can
you
see
guys. I'm going for Kid Icarus. And
I am
I
too.
hate
I
for
think it's
Kid
Kid
Icarus.
Icarus,
Kid
dude.
Icarus over Link Between Worlds?
Yeah, man. For
Yeah.
being tied to the 3DS, like for how much like they
Yeah.
talked about the game, it had its own peripheral.
I guess I'm thinking more from a quality perspective, but yeah, I
you
think
gotta
Kid Icarus
separate
makes
quality out.
I don't know about that one. I like for Link Between Worlds being like the one unique Zelda for 3DS. I feel like that game. I remember that game coming out and the reaction it got because people were like blown away by it.
It was GameSpot's
They
game of the
didn't
year.
like
Yeah.
the graphics.
Did they
I mean,
not?
it was 3DS. No
Yeah,
one liked
it-
any
it
graphics on
wasn't
that
a-
thing.
yeah,
It
was
wasn't
like-
about that. It was with the style. Everything looked like a little toy, but it looked not
Yeah.
like a good toy. Like it looked like crappy.
But also, like that came out at a time where what was the other Zelda that came out near it? Like, was that the motion control Skyward
Skyward
Sword?
Sword?
Wasn't that like the last Zelda we had gotten before that? and so people were already kind of soured a bit.
I mean, there was Wind Waker on Wii U, which is really good right around
That's
that time.
fantastic.
Was that before or after this?
I feel Link
That's right,
Between
it's
Worlds
fun.
is the bottom of all of these.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, are we going to do a
I
vote?
think that's insane, but I think Kid Icarus edges out Link Between Worlds.
And I'm siding with Imran this time.
All right. Kid Icarus it is.
I told you it was a troll choice. It's
gonna
fine.
get
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It'll
Just
be
had to be a
fine.
really good game.
Oh man.
And I feel like Pokemon X and Y would have been above that, but y'all beat me to that.
So I brought a special surprise. Are we ready to move on after this list?
bust it out.
Okay. You can read the
Oh, the list
first,
is
though,
Super Mario 3D World, Fire Emblem Awakening, Animal Crossing New Leaf, Kid Icarus Uprising, and Street Pass.
Cool. All right. Well, I brought the worst Nintendo handheld game of all time. The least iconic. It is
Whoa.
Fun Water Squirter. That's
Whoa.
right. This is not only a bad game. You can see this is a Game & Watch, a Nintendo. But we didn't talk about Game & Watch. But those are Nintendo handheld systems, and the best of those would be hard to get at. Probably Zelda, Donkey Kong, and maybe Octopus, which this is imitating. I bought this in Chinatown pretty recently, and which doesn't make any sense because it's supposed to trick you into squirting water in your face.
Can I just point out how much
Wow.
I love the guy on the front? Like the kid, like he's just so terrified.
So
Need
not
some
only,
water.
not only is the game lying because it says it's fun, but it sprays you in the face when you're trying to play with water, and then the game just doesn't look that fun to begin with. Anyway,
That's awesome.
The
Fun
least
Water
iconic
Squirter.
Nintendo
The least
game of all
iconic I
time.
could come up with today.
I love
Wow.
it. So, Sam, you actually have to get out of here.
I do.
Go back, do some official IGN work.
Yep.
Thank you for
Of
coming
course.
through. For
And I
all
want to
this.
say, if you, I'm on Game Scoop all the time. That's the show that I do at IGN, and we talk about stuff like this a lot. So come check that out. But we're going to be at PAX at the end of this month on 29th, Leap Day, live, 7:30 at PAX East. Should be fun.
There we go. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you
Hope
so
to
much
see
for
you
having me.
soon, man. Now we're going to talk about Switch
All right.
games,
All
though.
right. Do I get to actually leave in real time?
Oh,
Yeah.
Really? All
Yeah.
right, I'm gonna think about how I'm gonna make my escape. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks
you, man.
everybody listening and watching too. Appreciate it.
Sure, on Sam.
See you later, dude. Switch.
Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah.
Easy.
See, this one is gonna be.
Every
think-
time we say it's going to be easy,
No, I'm not,
it ends up being
no,
really
no, I
goddamn
think this
hard.
one has two very easy ones, and then the rest is going to be like a bloodbath. I think.
Okay.
'Cause so like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey are, for like
Absolutely.
are the two,
Absolutely.
and then from there it's like what's the conversation we're having?
So what
Let's-
what represents Switch? Is it Nintendo games? Is it indie games? Like
Because and that's my argument.
It's anything
That's
you
my argument,
associate with. It
'cause,
goes
like,
back to the definition of iconic.
Smash Ultimate. I would also say is probably like another lock.
yes, Smash
Yeah.
Ultimate is like honestly probably the most iconic Nintendo game. Period.
Splatoon 2, I don't like. I think there's a conversation. There is a conversation about Splatoon 2.
I think Splatoon 2 is absolutely a conversation. I think it is
I think
probably going to make the list.
I think there's a conversation for Celeste.
Here's going to be a controversial one: Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
No, that's not even controversial. I think
Really?
that's on there.
I think that's,
Okay,
yeah.
then never mind. It's not controversial
But
at
here's the
fucking
thing, it's
all.
like, yeah, so I like your Celeste, though.
Yeah, because like here's the I think for this weird place we've been in for the last 2 to 3 years, right, with the Switch. Switch has been identified with indie games more so than the other consoles.
Yeah, because
right?
everything is like, oh, I'd love to play this on a Switch instead.
Yeah, and so now that we have the Switch, and you know indie games have been coming out pretty rapidly over the last 3 years. Like Switch is the indie game console. Like it's indie games, it's Nintendo games, and then it's like Marvel's Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah.
And so
Let me throw some shit at you, though.
Mm-hmm.
I love Celeste, but I do think that there is one more iconic
I'm
game.
with you. Sonic Mania, put it on the list.
Oh, my God. I fucking love Sonic
I was
Mania.
gonna say Fortnite.
I was also gonna say Fortnite.
I was going to say, in terms of the what you're talking about, the indie game, Celeste, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Golf Story.
God bless you.
Because
You're
I feel
preaching right
like
now.
Golf Story was early enough in the Switch's life cycle. It was hyped up enough from the indie perspective and from how Nintendo pushed it that I feel like it is associated with the Switch so strongly.
Yeah.
Where I can see an argument that Celeste isn't tied specifically to the Switch,
Mm-hmm.
even though most people first saw it from
Yeah,
Direct.
I feel like wasn't Golf Story specifically exclusive for the Switch?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
in terms of it representing indie games, and at that point just games on Switch, because for a while it was just kind of like it's Breath of the Wild and whatever comes up on the eShop.
In that same vein, I haven't played SteamWorld Dig 2, but I feel like you could make
SteamWorld Dig 2 is a perfect game.
I feel like you could even make a better argument for SteamWorld Dig 2. As much as
Yes.
I prefer
Over Golf Story?
Yes.
like I prefer Golf Story.
Really?
I
Yes.
love Golf Story, but SteamWorld Dig 2
We're
think
not
of,
talking quality.
No,
We're
I-
talking iconography.
Yeah, I think I
Honestly, I don't. If when you talk about SteamWorld, or not, sorry, if you talk about Golf Story today, I don't think anyone necessarily like. Or when you talk about Switch, I don't think anyone goes Golf Story. That's the one.
yeah, I think that's my thing too.
I
Is
definitely
like,
don't think anyone does SteamWorld Dig.
too.
I would put Celeste above both of those personally.
I mean, I
same.
would put Celeste.
but I
above
would
Steam
probably put Cadence of Hyrule in terms of iconic above all three of those.
No.
I don't know if it hit
No,
the
not-
way it should have hit though.
No, it doesn't matter about hitting. It was the game. In
Even-
the game,
even
Nintendo went
icon-
like, "Hey, here, have fucking Zelda."
Yeah, but my argument to that is like, in a couple years, if I mention it, if I'm like, hey, what's the Zelda game on a Switch? I don't think majority of people would.
If you say,
have
"What
it.
was that rhythm Zelda game on Switch?" people will be like, "Oh, fucking yeah, Cadence of Hyrule."
I mean,
If you go, "What was that that golf game on Switch?" you'd be like, "The one that was in the firmware." Do you mean Sports Story? That was newer.
Yeah,
I
feel
I
like
would also put Hollow Knight above both of those two.
for Switch though.
Yes,
Didn't
it came out on other things. It came out on PC first, but I think it hit its big thing with Switch.
I'd give it to PC.
yeah, that's my thing too. As I don't really associate how like SteamWorld Dig 2. I specifically associate with Switch in a way, and like Golf Story 2 or Golf Story also. Hollow Knight for me is like one that's probably similar to Celeste, where it came out on multiple platforms, but like yeah, people played it on Switch because it was because it came out on Switch. But at the same time, I feel like Celeste specifically, it not coming to PC first and it coming cross-platform everywhere, I feel like made that game kind of shine. Also, Nintendo had it in their like year opening direct, their like direct mini or whatever.
The Indie World.
No, I think it was literally called like a direct.
the
mini.
Golf Story one, or Celeste? Are you talking about?
Celeste.
I
Because Golf
don't
Story
re-
was in the Nindies. Celeste was at the like year beginning one where like we saw it and we are like, what's Celeste? And then it came out and we are like, oh, this game is awesome.
I would say Hollow Knight represents that thing that's been happening with Switch of, okay, yeah, this cool indie game seems cool. I want to play it on Switch instead.
I'd also say Sonic Mania is in that conversation too.
I fucking love Sonic Mania, but I don't know, man.
Dude,
I think when
Sonic
we-
Mania was a revolution.
When we get into,
It was a force, not Sonic Forces.
I mean, it was absolutely not a revolution. That's why it was good.
True. I love it. Now, going through first party titles, because I feel like that's kind of the big stuff.
Yeah.
Super Mario Maker 2, Pokemon Let's Go, and Pokemon Sword and Shield.
I don't think Mario Maker makes it,
I don't
but I
either.
think there's an argument for Let's Go and Sword and Shield.
What are your thoughts?
I agree with both of those. Both what Blessing said. I'm just trying mentally going over the games that came out this year.
Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Three Houses, yeah. I
don't think so.
I don't think so either.
You said it. It was your suggestion.
Well, I
Well,
said
the
it
first party
to be in the
title.
to be in the conversation. I don't-
Do you think it's one of the most
I-
iconic?
I think so. I think it represents it was probably Nintendo's biggest game this past year. Not in terms of sales, but in terms of game critical quality.
like yeah, being critically received.
But now let's go back to this, though. Would you, looking at the early days, Splatoon 2, or Fire Emblem Three Houses? I go Splatoon 2.
I mean, in terms of iconic,
I would
Yeah.
say Fire Emblem Three Houses between Splatoon 2 and Fire Emblem, but I also don't think either of them make it in the end. Yeah.
I think I'm on the opposite problem. Is I would think they both make it, but I would put Fire Emblem above Splatoon 2 for me.
See, what I'll put above both, Octopath Traveler.
I mean, isn't that the same Bravely Default conversation we had though?
Yeah,
Is it?
I think so.
I think I missed the Bravely Default conversation because
It's it's great, and it definitely was a big deal. But I don't think that when you can't compare that to the Pokemon games or to Splatoon. You know what I mean?
What about Fortnite?
Yeah,
Fortnite, when that came to Switch,
I
feel like a turning point for a lot of people.
I think Fortnite is iconic. It's hard to say because it's the biggest game in the world right now.
Yeah.
I don't think that in the future people are going to look back at the Nintendo Switch version of Fortnite.
I think more
as
people
being
play
iconic. To
it
the
on their
system.
phone than they play it on Switch. But
Yeah.
I think
people play it everywhere else.
Yeah, I
over
think Fortnite's
But-
just one of those games that just transcends. It did have its moment though at E3.
Yeah,
and
like it
all
had
that.
its, and that was actually to even bring the argument further, right? That game coming to Switch and then being crossplay.
Yes.
And Microsoft and Nintendo making that commercial of play together, and then that caused a whole conversation in the industry and had everybody looking at Sony like, "Yo, what up?" Right? And now we're getting games like Call of Duty being crossplay because of that moment.
Yeah.
in
And
that
so
vein,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Or no, go ahead.
Minecraft.
No one associates that with Switch.
Lots of people do.
No way.
I don't
It is
think
one of
so.
the best sellers
way.
on the system.
Yeah, but that's not people play it.
And
That's
when
not
we're talking about
associated.
the crossplay thing, that was what that commercial was actually for. Was Microsoft and the green and red together, the play together thing. That was from Minecraft.
Was it not for Fortnite?
It
I
was
guess it
not
was.
Fortnite did also do like play together stuff, but
Okay.
not that specific.
I mean,
thing.
it's funny though. Like with the Switch, like looking at this list in front of me, it looks like we have about like 13 here.
Yeah.
I just feel like
And I'm
looking
barely
at
getting
it when
started.
it comes to like it does feel like there's more clear answers than we've seen before. Because like even just the top of what I have here of Splatoon 2, Smash Ultimate, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild. I feel like that's such a good starting lineup to compare things against.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw one in there that can be a decent argument for Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
That's what I was thinking of too.
It's actually a really good game. It just,
So good.
but it just like I remember when that thing leaked and people were like, "What the fuck is this thing?
Yeah.
What is this Princess Rabbit?"
Yeah, I was like offended when I saw it. I was like, oh no, not these guys.
Yeah.
Not these guys.
and
These
then the
guys
actual,
with my beloved Mario, no.
and then the game came out like 3 months after that, and it
Yeah.
was fucking
It
amazing.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
everybody was saying it was amazing. I never played it because I was like, no, I refuse. But I heard great
Dude,
things.
no, it's real good. But I just don't think it's on the level of the 5 games I mentioned.
Yeah, that's the
I would
problem.
put it, I mean,
I feel
what's the
like-
argument for Splatoon 2? Because for me, as somebody who I've only played the demo of Splatoon 2, right? Like, it struck me as just more Splatoon. It didn't really strike me as anything too unique or special or iconic.
That's so it is iconic. I don't think it's unique or special. Is the problem because it was that first year Switch game that was like, oh yeah, Splatoon's really popular. We're just gonna carry over that momentum from Splatoon 1, and they did, and it sold really well and became very associated with that console.
I still associate. I mean, I guess I associate Splatoon with both Wii U and Switch, but not like
Yeah.
Switch specifically.
I
Like
mean, I
Mario Kart
guess-
8 Deluxe, I feel like is even more so.
It's a weird one.
It's-
Mario Kart Deluxe, I think, is on the list.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's definitely on the list over Splatoon 2. And
It
I
is
don't
the
know.
best-selling Switch game.
And I don't know if that's a thing of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe coming out in launch. Was it launch window or at launch?
Launch
It
window.
was launch window.
Launch
It was like a
window.
month
Like, I
later.
don't know if that. Yeah, it was launch window. I don't know if it's that the fact that it came out months before Splatoon 2, or the fact that it's like the best selling.
You bring
game
up a
on the
good point,
console.
though, about Splatoon, where, and not that this necessarily means it's not on this list, but I think there's so many games
Yeah.
that could be that it would push it off. But Splatoon, I do associate so much more strongly with Wii U than with
Yeah.
Switch.
It was
that's-
on our Wii U list for sure.
Because I
Yeah.
like if I'm looking at Nintendo games, right? Like Luigi's Mansion 3, I'd probably put above Splatoon 2.
No way.
No,
No way.
I was thinking about
Fire Emblem
Mentioning
Three
that.
Houses, I'd probably put above Splatoon 2.
I can't imagine that argument.
Has
Really?
has Octopath Traveler been thrown
Yeah.
in there?
Come up, yeah.
Okay.
Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3, I'm gonna do a shout out to you. That doesn't go above anything, but shout out to it.
what about Dragon Quest?
Mm.
I have 60 hours in that game.
Yeah,
I'm
but I don't think
not
it's
even halfway.
associated with Switch.
I think
like, a lot
they
of people
pushed that-
play it on Switch.
They
and
pushed
push
that
it.
game super hard. Like,
But
Yeah, but I
literally,
feel like that's almost
they
like
put
Skyrim.
they put a character in Smash Brothers just to sell that game better.
yeah, Smash Brothers is like, you could say that about almost any franchise at this point.
I say shout out to Skyrim and Rocket League,
Oh, Rocket League, that's a good one.
and a game nobody played, but I played and loved, Floor Kids.
Floor Kids is cool.
Yeah,
It's dope.
What about Goose Game?
No.
Goose Game transcends all.
But it
Yeah,
transcended
but
all on
it doesn't
Switch.
transcend over Celeste, even SteamWorld Dig.
No, Goose Game is not a good game. It just
Yeah.
it was
As far as
like when you get Chrissy Teigen
popularity.
like tweeting about it multiple times. I feel like
Do you know what she also tweeted about though? Luigi's Mansion 3.
she does.
She
Really,
cosplayed.
she
as
really
Luigi.
fucking loves that game.
Yeah.
So, all right. We got, I feel like there's 4 spots then that we're not denying at all, which are Smash Ultimate, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild.
Yes,
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Splatoon is the only one that we're
I'm
wavering
iffy about
on.
it
I'm iffy about Splatoon.
So that means we have 1 spot left.
I mean, honestly,
for like 18 games.
so I think it might be one of the Pokemons, as basic as that sounds.
No, I agree with you, but I want to.
And I would,
I don't want it to be.
but
So-
like my hot take would be, I'd probably say Let's Go over Sword and Shield.
I would say Sword and Shield over Let's Go, honestly.
But I would say the reason why I don't say Sword and Shield is because of how much, like one of the controversy around it. I feel like makes it not like the ubiquitous, like amazing Pokemon game that we all sort of.
Yeah, but the
wanted.
controversy was nothing. Like, yes, it didn't have the National Dex stuff, but also Pokemon Let's Go only had the first 150 anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I feel like it's Sword and Shield over Let's Go, and I think a lot of that comes down to the fact of how many people. In the same argument I made for X and Y, it's like Sword and Shield brought so many new people, or not new people, old people back for the first time that haven't played maybe since the GBA.
yeah.
You
But
know?
for me, I came back and I was like, this is fine. Like I came back and
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily
No.
like.
I think Sword and Shield is not a good game, but I think it's more iconic to the Switch than Let's Go.
But I think the reason why I think Let's Go also is it is the first 150 Pokemon, right? Which I think allowed a lot of people to come back and be like, oh yeah, I get to re-experience this thing again. But also it's like a new version of Pokemon. Like it's a new spin-off or whatever you want to call it, right? A new branch of Pokemon.
But
that is
it's a
something
branch
unique.
that nobody really wanted. And I feel like when you start looking at it, it's like you look at Pokemon Go compared to this. Go is obviously so much more iconic just as a Pokemon game than Let's Go.
Like Let's Go did really well,
yeah.
and there's a lot of people who feared that was going to be the new direction of Pokemon once it sold that well.
Yeah.
But then Sword and Shield sold better.
Sold way, way, way better.
Like I think it's like 11 million to 16 million.
Yeah. And when you're looking at the month difference there, it's like we're talking about lifetime for Let's Go of having a year on a game that we're talking about already beating it by 5 million in a month total. You know?
In that
Again,
respect, Luigi's Mansion, that argument can also be put for that.
But the difference there, those we're talking about Pokemon numbers, not Luigi's Mansion numbers.
Yeah, but Luigi's Mansion, like, in 5 years, Luigi's Mansion 2 did not sell what Luigi's Mansion 3 did in a month.
Yeah. But
Which is still fun. Like, which is not to say it should be on the iconic list. I'm saying, like, wow, numbers are fucked up. People
Yeah.
buy a lot of games.
Well, the Switch too is just like, more people. I feel like the Switch has reinvigorated people's interest in Nintendo in so many ways, where so many Nintendo diehards are going to buy everything no matter what. But the Switch is the thing that's getting people in. Who are like, I didn't buy a Wii U. I gave up after the Wii.
I went through my account, my main account, not my review account, of like games on there. I have 64 games for the Switch, which in 3 years is a lot. That's a huge amount of games for a system.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do we feel about Nintendo Labo?
Came and went.
And I know there are different games within Labo, right?
Yeah, like
And so we can't really count it as one.
Giant Row. I
Or
can
would you count it as
I only
one?
put Street Pass as one game. Like
It's fair.
Yeah.
I would put like 1-2 Switch over Labo though.
Well, that was going to be the next thing I brought up. What about 1-2 Switch?
no one no one associates 1-2 Switch with Switch except to laugh about it.
I mean, but that's still like an icon.
But even then, it's not even a good laugh. It's more of like a, huh.
Like they put this in the voucher program, really?
you can milk the cows though.
You can.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's a game that they should have probably packaged in or not put out, but if anything, packaged in with the
Yes.
Switch.
So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to name the 4 games that are on the list. I am then going to name all the rest of them, and the 3 of us need to, in our own heads, choose the one that we think is that 5th.
Okay.
And then we'll say what they are. Okay? Top 4 we got right now: Smash Ultimate, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild. Which of these games to you is the 5th that belongs on that list?
Hold on, before we start reading the full list, can I throw one more out there?
Yes.
Stardew Valley.
I thought you were going to say Ring Fit Adventure.
This is just convenient timing.
I
That was
love
not.
it. I fucking love it.
It's prophetic.
Splatoon 2, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Golf Story, Celeste, SteamWorld Dig, Sonic Mania, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Octopath Traveler, Minecraft, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Luigi's Mansion 3, or Stardew Valley.
Do we not have Link's Awakening?
No.
We're not
I'm
gonna.
fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Okay. So on the count of 3,
Oh man.
we're gonna say our game. 1, 2, 3.
Celeste.
Splatoon 2. Celeste it is.
Yeah, I was between Celeste and Octopath, but
I was between Celeste and Fire Emblem, but I think Celeste gets it for me.
yeah. And I even hot take, I like Golf Story more than Celeste. Like I really like Golf
What?
Story. Dude, Golf Story is incredible.
Celeste is perfect.
Not
Celeste is also great.
Yeah.
Like Celeste is also incredible.
Celeste is a 10 out of 10. Golf Story is like a 8.5.
Smash
I mean-
Ultimate, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Celeste. Again, fantastic list when it comes down to it. Ladies and gentlemen,
yeah.
that has been the most iconic portable Nintendo games. Yes, we included the Switch as portable because it's both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What were you about to say, Imran?
I was gonna say you could just buy these games and you'd be set for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Like of all the lists we've made, just buy those like 5 games per system, and you'd never have to play, or not never, but you would not have to play another game for a long time.
So we're about to get into the post show. We're going to do a little bit of predicting the future, kind of like we did the Xbox thing. Do we think any future Switch game will break into this top 5? It's going to be fun stuff. So patreon.com/kindoffunnygames supporters. You can go check that out. For everyone else, until next time, I love you.